is out. So is their starting shortstop, Jack Wilson. So Robinson Diaz and Brian Bixler and one all-star, Nate McLeod, who won a Gold Glove last year and had himself a breakout season for the Pirates. But this is a Pittsburgh team that has been quite offensively challenged this year, including both the brothers LaRoche, each of whom have gone through cold streaks this year.
They do the same thing as the Mets, right, with the backpack?
Seems every bullpen has got their junior member. I believe that's Donnie Veal, the Rule 5 pick from the Cubs, who gets to carry the backpack as the low man on the totem pole.
The Mets is far more daintier than that.
Pink.
Jonathan Neese from Defiance High School in Ohio, only 22 years old. You see those numbers in Buffalo. Jerry Manuel was addressing them today and saying that he was having trouble managing an inning. You give up a big crooked number, but they said in his last start that he had a really good outing and ready to go.
His last start against Louisville, he allowed just 3 hits in 6 innings and struck out 8.
Well, Wright, Reyes, and Beltran have played in all the games now. Murphy and Church on the corner outfield positions, the only ones with outfield assists. And Omir Santos, of course, getting the start at catcher. 2 for 7 and throwing out would-be base stealers.
Jonathan Neese, just 22 years of age. He made his first start last year for the Mets in Milwaukee on the 2nd of September. First batter he faced in the major leagues, his second pitch, Ricky Weeks took him deep. But after that, he pitched 3 very good innings, worked out of a jam, had himself a 5-1 lead before the roof kind of caved in on him in that first start.
Yeah, he really lost his control, both of his fastball and his curveball. But Jerry Manuel was saying, and I mentioned it in the opening, is that he really wants to see if he's hitting the glove, if he's pitching to Santos inside and outside with his fastball, because he is the kind of pitcher, he does have a great breaking pitch, but everything's got to come off the fastball. If he's throwing strikes with that, then he'll get them to swing at that curveball in the dirt.
And pitching in this ballpark, I think that Met pitchers have quickly learned you can challenge people. I mean, we saw John Maine do that. We saw Mike Pelfrey last night do that as well. Really attack with their fastball.
And if you look at this lineup for the Pittsburgh Pirates, they have some guys who can hit for average, but not a lot of pop in the lineup other than McLeod. So you can go after John Russell's team.
John Russell now in his 2nd year as the Pittsburgh manager. They lost 95 games last year. Got off to a good start this year, but now 9 of their last 10 they've lost. Nyjer Morgan, the speedy left fielder, leads things off. Morgan, who has started all but 1 game for the Pirates, a real slash and dash kind of a guy, hitting a .298. And Neese's first pitch is in at the knees for a strike.
Morgan, the best hockey player in major leagues. Played professionally in Canada.
4 years of junior hockey in Canada after growing up in Chicago, but traded his skates for spikes. Freddie Sanchez on deck, and then Nate McLeod in the opening inning. 2-1 to Morgan. Gotta love the sock style.
Yes, stirrups.
Corners in against Morgan is a threat to bunt, and he slaps one foul. 91 on the fastball from Neese. 2-2.
See the defense against Morgan. Corners back now with Delgado on right because of 2 strikes. Pretty deep in the outfield.
Just missed. Full count to Morgan leading off. Jonathan Neese, born October 27th, 1986, a red-letter date in Mets history.
I was busy that day, I think.
You were pitching. Here's the 3-2, fouled away. That, of course, was the date of Game 7 of the '86 World Series. Mets were winning across the parking lot, and Jonathan Neese was born in Lima, Ohio, the same day. Again, the 3-2, and again fouled away.
Like to see it coming out throwing fastballs as Neese. And I think that's part of what you were talking about, Gary, is that when you are behind or when you have a 3-2 count, go after the hitter. Let him put it in play.
Morgan keeps on fouling him away, making Neese work to his opening batter. How about this in Baltimore? Alex Rodriguez, first game of the year, first at bat, 3-run homer. Here's the 9th pitch from Neese, and Morgan slaps it to third, and it banks Rips off right. An infield hit for Nyjer Morgan. Good effort by Wright on a tough backhand play, but Morgan's aboard to lead off the game.
Well, nice at bat by Morgan. Stayed in it and then lashed this ball down the line. When it comes off the bat of the left-handed hitter, it'll try to work away from David and hit him in the heel of the glove.
So Morgan, who's always a threat to go, is aboard, and Nice must pay him attention. Morgan's already stolen 7 bases this year. Here's Freddie Sanchez, former National League batting champion, who leads the National League in doubles this year. 13 doubles already for Sanchez. He played on that fastball.
Fastball up and away to Sanchez. Trying to go that way. You saw him trying to shoot it through that hole between Castillo and Delgado.
That is Sanchez's game. Ideal number 2 hitter. Lifts this one to right field, chasing Church back. Plenty of room out there, and Ryan runs it down. And Morgan back to first, and that's the first out of the night. So Sanchez retired, 1 out and 1 on, and now Nate McLouth. And what a year McLouth had last year, really establishing himself as a big-time major league player. Not only hit 25 home runs, but he won the Gold Glove in the National League.
That's the first time a Bucco has won the Gold Glove since 1993 when Jay Bell won one.
When last year started, McLouth was primarily the leadoff batter for the Pirates, but he has now established himself as the number 3 hitter. Missed about a week with an oblique strain week before last, but since then he has come back strong, hitting a .289 for the year.
So the Gold Glove outfielders last year were Beltran, Victorino, and McLouth, all center fielders.
Which is, I don't know about you, Ronnie, but that's something I would love to see change.
Yes, they're all unique positions.
I mean, it would be like picking a Gold Glove infield and picking 4 shortstops. Morgan runs, Santos' throw, and an overslide, and he's out. Reyes went back at Morgan, who went past the bag, and the second base umpire, Chris Guccione, right on top of it. And Morgan is out.
Well, this is a thing you don't always see. Good pitch to throw from Santos. Great jump by Morgan, but nice job by Reyes. Stay with the runner as he goes past the bag. You'll see a lot of infielders make the tag and come out of there. He stayed with him. Probably stayed with him because Jose has done that himself.
So 2 out and nobody on. 1-1 to McLouth, who lines a base hit the other way. So the second hit of the inning for the Pirates. McLouth's aboard with 2 down. Morgan caught for the 4th time in 11 tries, and that's part of the problem with the head first slide. Sometimes it's hard to control the aftermath of the slide.
And also another thing with being at a new ballpark, you don't know how the dirt's going to be, how it's going to react, and how far you're going to go.
So here's Adam LaRoche fighting a slump right now, 0 for his last 16.
He starts that slide late. He's only about 3 or 4 feet away from the bag. That's why he went past it. And good job by Reyes with the block.
Got the foot in the way to make sure he couldn't get back. Make sure Guccione, the umpire, knew that there was separation there. Normally you block the bag coming in, but Reyes blocked the bag coming back.
Morgan, it's hockey season. You got to keep that skate against the post.
Gave up the wraparound. And LaRoche lifts one to center field. Back goes Beltran. He's got room. And in the deepest part of the ballpark, Beltran grabs it to end the inning. Adam LaRoche, welcome to Citi Field. Good first inning for Nice. No score. Luis Castillo back in the 2-hole. Daniel Murphy again hit 6th. The odd thing is Ryan Church hitting 8th. First time since 2006 with the Washington Nationals that Church has started the game hitting 8th.
So Jeff Carson's going to be the pitcher. Came over for the Yankees in that trade where Xavier Nady and Damaso Marte went over to the Yanks. Started out as a catcher in high school. Was drafted by the Expos as a catcher, but then signed as a pitcher later with the Yankees.
Jose Reyes fighting a slump. He did hit a home run last night. Went 1 for 5, just 4 for his last 39. As Karstens delivers, and it's bounced over the mound and into center field, and Reyes has a leadoff hit. So first pitch from Karstens, and Reyes takes it right back up the middle. And Luis Castillo will bat with a man on.
Well, here's the Pirates defense. Nate McLouth in center field. He won that Gold Glove we talked about. Most Gold Gloves by Pittsburgh Pirates, of course, Clemente with 12. Adam LaRoche and Andy LaRoche, those two brothers, first brothers to play for the Pittsburgh Pirates since Ed and Johnny O'Brien in 1958.
Wow. That's outstanding. I was thinking the Wainers.
That's right. That's right.
A little further back. Here's Castillo, hitless in his last 11 at-bats. Average at .309 for the year. Reyes with 7 steals in 9 tries. And Karstens holding and throwing. Get the fielding Reyes, first pitch swinging. Gives you an idea about the aggressiveness he's taking into the game. Maybe looking to run early here. Not going, and Castillo takes a letter high strike.
Well, when you're playing younger, inexperienced teams, a lot of times you can really get them flustered by being very aggressive early in the game.
And I think also the Mets are very conscious of keeping the pressure on, having won 4 games in a row against their most hated competition, the Braves and the Phillies, of not letting up on the throttle. 1-1 to Castillo, and I think that might push Reyes maybe to run a little bit early.
On deck is Beltran. Almost like you can artificially manufacture getting in the game because you want to steal some bases, get that good sweat going, try to score an early run to a team that is struggling.
Karstens very conscious of it. Jeff Karstens, when he came to the Pirates last year, his first 2 starts he was unhittable. 15 scoreless innings. One of those games he carried a no-hitter late.
Perfect game.
Perfect game, yeah.
Into the 8th.
And he won those first 2 starts, and it looked like the Pirates really had something, but since then he has really struggled. Again, a long hold by Karstens, trying to get him flat-footed, and Castillo taking a strike. It's 1-2. Karstens, since those first 2 starts, 11 times he's gone to the mound, 1-7, 5.75 ERA. Faced the Mets once last year in August, and he was beaten by Johan Santana in Pittsburgh. He pitched okay that night, 6 innings, and gave up 4 runs. Paying a ton of attention to Reyes.
Well, it's an interesting count. It's 1-2. John Russell, the manager of the Pirates, can counter with a pitch out because he has a couple pitches to give up. But then Reyes can be thinking a 1-2 count. If he goes after Castillo, it might be a breaking pitch. Might be a good pitch to try to steal on.
Keep in mind also, Karstens does not strike many people out, and Castillo tough to fan. Reyes runs, pitch low inside. Diaz with the throw, not in time. And Reyes has his 8th stolen base of the year.
Boy, that was a nice job by Reyes. Staying there and still getting a good jump. And he ran on the right pitch. He got himself a little changeup down. Made it tough for Diaz to get a good throw off. And Reyes with a stolen base.
By the way, Robinson Diaz got a pretty good arm. That was a lot closer than you would have expected to where that pitch was. First stolen base against Diaz, who had thrown out his first 2. So Reyes is at second now with nobody out. Castillo will try and move him. Got to pull the ball here. On 2-2, he does exactly that. LaRoche comes in, pitcher covers, glove flip, and it's too late. I'll tell you what, Adam LaRoche has the ability to be a Gold Glove first baseman, but sometimes he does stuff that just boggles your mind.
Well, sometimes you make a bad choice. With that big first baseman's glove, you can't flip that ball. That's got to be taken with two hands and shoveled over. If you want to get it with your bare hand, that might be a play, but almost impossible to shovel it over there. That's almost like the basket they have in Highline, trying to shovel the ball out of that.
They couldn't get it from the cesta to the wall. So it gives the Mets a break. It goes as an infield single for Castillo. First and third and nobody out. The table set for Beltran, who hit a 2-run homer his first time up last night. Still leads the league in batting at 382. And Carlos takes on the inside corner, 0-1. Beltran now with 5 home runs, 20 driven in. Second in the league in on-base percentage, 8th in the league in slugging percentage, just off to a phenomenal start. Castillo runs, pitch inside. Diaz is throwing a hop, not in time, and Reyes holds it third. Second stolen base of the inning. And Castillo's second of the year.
Well, we talked about it being aggressive early against a team that's struggling. A better pitch to throw. But you see Diaz, his footwork, being a young catcher, he stepped to his left before he went to second base. You want to come out a little squarer, go right through to second base, through the pitcher.
Castillo got his first steal of the year last night. Now he has his second. The infield back for Beltran with second and third and nobody out. That's trying to jump on Karstens in the first inning. And they've got the perfect opportunity. 1-1, Beltran pops it up on the infield. Sanchez taking charge as Beltran fires the bat away in disgust. That's the first out. You don't often see Beltran react emotionally, but he helicoptered that bat almost all the way to the dugout.
Well, I think the reason he threw that bat is because he really felt that was a pitch for him to hit. It was up in the strike zone, just enough in.
So 1 away. And the infield will stay back with Delgado up. Carlos had a good night last night at the plate. Mets have done better recently with runners in scoring position. Right at the National League average. Delgado at 318 with runners in scoring position, but a good off-speed pitch by Karstens, 0-1.
Well, that's Karstens' strength. He has an outstanding changeup that he will throw at any count. Carlos looking for fastball first pitch, did not get it.
Delgado, one of 4 Mets in the lineup tonight who have faced Karstens before. He's 0 for 3 against him. So for a lot of these Mets, this is their first time around against this right-hander. In the dirt, stopped by Diaz, holding Reyes at third, 1-1. Mets got 4 in the first inning last night. They went through a stretch where they scored in the first inning in 11 of 14 games. Something they did very well last year as well. One and 1 to Delgado. And he lines one, base hit. That'll bring home Reyes. Here comes Castillo. Moss's throw is cut off. A 2-run single for Carlos Delgado to give the Mets the early 2-0 lead. Now Sanchez was playing in the outfield, but not deep enough to get to this one.
Well, the catcher asked for that changeup down. He got it up just enough, and this was a laser by Carlos Delgado. Reyes, of course, scoring easy on that play, and Castillo had to hold up. Wasn't sure if Sanchez was going to make that play. Reyes checks it out. It's by him. He scores. Castillo had to hold up, but still enough speed. And Brandon Moss does not have a very strong arm in right field.
No, we saw him in left field last year. He's probably more suited there. So the Mets' aggressiveness on the bases. LaRoche's mistake at first base quickly cashed in. Now David Wright swings at the high fastball. David had a big night last night, 3 for 3, including a 2-run homer. And over the last 9 games, hitting over 400. So Reyes and Castillo each swiping a bag, and both come in to score on the Delgado hit.
Boy, that's the kind of baseball you like to see, don't you? I mean, the team that's come in and they're scuffling a little bit. Don't ever give them a chance to be in the game. Be aggressive.
Something that Jerry Manuel and the coaching staff, and for that matter the players, are very conscious of, is that the intensity that the Mets have shown in the games against the Phillies this year is the same intensity that you've got to have every day.
Championship teams play hard every day. So, right now it's talk, and it's really great that they're aware of it and that they're talking about it. And hopefully, over the course of time, you won't have to talk about it because every day is the most important day.
See what the Mets have done in the first inning, 32-14. And still working on this inning. Wright goes down swinging at the slider, and Karstens has his first strikeout. So 2 out of the inning.
Karstens will throw his fastball really just to set up his changeup and slider. Against the left-handers, he's going to throw mostly changeups, and the right-handers, that slider away.
So now 2 out. Here's Daniel Murphy, who of late has found a home perhaps in the 6 hole. Has an 8-game hitting streak, a mild streak in that he has exactly 1 hit in each of the 8 games. Delgado at first and 2 down. And it's taken below the knees, ball 1.
One of the reasons that Jerry Manuel likes Daniel Murphy in that 6th slot, you go from Delgado left-handed, right-handed, of course, so you left, right, with Santos the catcher after Murphy.
And Murphy fouls one away, 1-1. Ramir Santos hitting 7th, and then Church behind him. I think that it's more important in Jerry's mind to go left, right at the lower part of the order against a team like the Pirates that has 3 lefties in the bullpen. Against teams with only 1 lefty, you might not feel that you have to do that. Inside, it's 2-1 to Murphy.
I think you also felt, too, having Murphy in that 6th slot. Santos, of course, a young hitter. Church is scuffling, that he doesn't want to give any of these young pitchers for the Pittsburgh Pirates a free inning, where at the bottom of the order you've got guys that are scuffling, and then you got the pitcher's slot.
And the changeup high, and now Karstens behind on Murphy, 3-1. So a hard-working first inning for Jeff Karstens.
19 pitches so far. We always say the pitcher, for you people at home, 13 to 15 is where you want to be. Pitches per inning.
How many 20 and 30 pitch first innings we've seen this year? 3-1 Murphy shoots it to the left side. Bixler makes the play to end the inning. But the Mets put together 3 hits and a couple of stolen bases for a productive bottom of the first inning. Reyes got it started, stole the base. Castillo aboard on the LaRoche mistake. He steals as well, and they both come home on Delgado's hit to give Jonathan East a 2-0 lead. Disagree more on the latest happenings in New York sports. Join Chris Carlin and Adam Shine for some decibel-driven sports debate on Loudmouth weeknights at 6 p.m. right here on SNY. Jonathan Neese pitching with the lead as we start the second inning. The other LaRoche, Andy, the younger brother, leads off. Came over from the Dodgers in the Manny Ramirez three-way trade last summer.
He struggled mightily last season and then got off to a slow start again this year, but has turned it around a little bit.
He's been on base 20 straight games now. But he hit just 152 in 49 games with the Pirates last year. He throws a fastball by him 1-2.
He's got a big swing, powerful swing, but late on his fastball.
We've seen a couple of hitters already late on Neese's fastball. It's not overpowering at 90-91. It's in there for a call, strike three. Got LaRoche looking for Neese's first strikeout of the night. One away.
Well, I love seeing that Neese has come up here in his second time and is throwing his fastball. That is a good thing. I don't think he knows how good his fastball is. What happens with a young pitcher, when you have a swing and miss pitch, which he does with his curveball, you tend to fall in love with it.
There's Brandon Moss, who also came over in the Manny Ramirez three-way trade from the Red Sox. Mets saw him last year. In fact, he got hurt against the Mets last year, turned his ankle.
Came over with Craig Hansen, I believe, who's injured right now.
Hansen, the kid from St. John's. Fouled and knocks the mask right off the home plate umpire, Jerry Lane.
Got him right on the right side of the jaw. See, it doesn't hit him flush. It gets him on the right side and just flips his mask off. That's like a right cross. That hurt. It was like taking a tough left cross there. Jerry, veteran umpire, said, okay, I just need a couple minutes.
Ray Ramirez, the Mets trainer, is going to come out just to make sure. You see the crew chief Ed Montague, the third base umpire, walking in, along with the first base umpire Tony Randazzo, just to make sure that Jerry Lane is okay.
Guys all look out after each other. I'll tell you, these umpires, they travel together, they eat together. They're kind of their own identity as they travel around the globe.
We've already seen one very scary injury to an umpire this year. Kerwin Danley getting hit by a broken bat.
See, his eyes are a little dazed there. A little watery. He wears the hockey mask, as you can see. Boy, that's a pretty. Not only that, it kind of knocked him down also.
Graphic representation on our Coors Light Freeze Cam. We'll see whether Jerry feels well enough to stay in the game. You certainly don't want him back there if he's feeling at all woozy or having any kind of vision issues.
Well, good. The bat boy's getting him some water, too. That's a good thing.
Undoubtedly wants to stay in. The question is whether he should.
These umpires are good men, proud. They don't want to leave the game.
And the thing about it is, with Ray Ramirez out there, the trainers are so much more aware of the danger of concussion than they were 10, 15 years ago.
Well, you know what? Omir Santos talking with Jerry Lane. If anyone is hit, it's catchers and umpires to the pain of the fouled ball. Got a smile on his face now. Good. That's good to see.
Saying to Brandon Moss, you woke me up. So, Neese had to stand around and wait. No warm-up tosses during that break. 1-1 the count to Brandon Moss. Fouls away the fastball, and it's 1-2. Moss off to a slow start. Robinson Diaz, the catcher, on deck.
Might see our first big curveball right here, Gary.
All fastballs early from Neese. Stays with it. It's fouled off. And, this was the formula that we've seen Maine in his last start, Pelfrey in his last start. First time around the batting order, don't show him all your weapons if you don't have to.
It's time.
Now the curveball, and it's bounced down to Delgado. Fair ball. And Moss retired for the second out. And the other thing about it is, the Pirates went to school on Nice, and probably the first thing they read in the scouting report is, 12-6 curveball.
This is a good one. Starts right at the shoulders of Brandon Moss. Now, listen, it's not a perfect one. Kind of hung a little bit in the middle of the plate, but none of these guys have seen him. And you're going to get more outs than hits.
So 2 out and nobody on, and now Robinson Diaz, the young catcher, making just his 5th start, and he takes a curveball for a strike. They say of Diaz, he is a classic bad ball hitter. And if I think of a Pirate catcher, bad ball hitter, got to think of Manny Sanguillen, right?
Absolutely. 2 breaking balls in a row, well, 3 really from these. Yeah, Manny Sanguillen, one of the last guys to use a 40-ounce bat. He just used to stand up there, and as soon as you let it go, he was swinging at it.
Bounce down to David Wright. Plays the hop and throws out Diaz, and it's a very effective 1-2-3 inning for Jonathan Nice. Middle of the second. The Mets with a 2-0 lead at Citi Field. Sunday, Mother's Day. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Budweiser, the great American lager. Romeo Santos will lead off in the bottom of the second. Santos making his 9th start, getting a .258. He takes Karsten's fastball for a strike, and Santos has done a nice job for the Mets since coming up, and maybe the most important thing that he's done, he's pushed Ramon Castro.
He really has. Castro has been outstanding, hasn't he? His at bats lately, especially with 2 strikes, he stayed in there. He's been pushing himself. See Ryan Church in the 8th slot.
And I don't know. I mean, as a big league ball player, is that more subconscious, or do you actually think that when you have competition? Hey, I need to push a little hard.
Well, I think that when you start to see a manager, the biggest weapon a manager has.
Santos drills one to left. Morgan has good speed, gets back there to grab it, 1 out.
Biggest weapon a manager has is that scorecard. And when he doesn't start playing you and sits you on the bench, that is the wake-up call of all wake-up calls, that you got to do something to get back in that lineup, and Ramon certainly has.
So here is Church, and you see how badly he's struggled lately, 1 for his last 26, and so hitting in the 8-hole. Only 5 times in his career has Church hit in the 8-hole. They all came the last few weeks of the 2006 season with Washington. And here he is 3 years later, again back in that 8-hole. And as Jerry Manuel acknowledged, it's not the best place for a guy who's slumping.
It's not, but with 1 out in the bottom of the second, you'll never usually have a guy not go after the hitter.
Sanchez throws out Church, and they're 2 away. But I guess the idea is you'd like to see a guy get some pitches to hit, and in the 8-hole, often you get pitched around.
You're so right, but in the bottom of the second, with no one on base, Carson went right after him with 2 fastballs. Just Ryan, just out of sorts right now.
So here is Nice, who had himself a base hit during his stint last year, 1 for 6 in the big leagues.
He was a good athlete, all soccer star, all state for 4 years. It's not usually a combination you see, right? Soccer and baseball.
Curtis Pride.
Yeah, there you go.
Curtis Pride was obviously a big league ball player, great soccer star at William and Mary. 2-1. Trying to think of others.
Mr. Santana is a lot of star. He looked like a soccer star, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Nice little back heel. Good cut by Nice. That's a big league swing.
It is.
2-2.
Tell right away which pitchers can hit and which can't. Watch the Mets pitchers take extra batting practice today. Davey Johnson used to always say about batting practice for pitchers was like listening to people hitting the ball with a rolled up Sporting News. So it made no sound coming off the bat.
See Micah Owings legging out a triple last
I saw
night.
that. Right? That's the difference too.
He hit better than he pitched. Just inside the full count to Nice.
I saw Pelfrey and John Maine go deep, and I'm talking about deep to left field in batting practice today. So they got it in them.
It's batting practice.
Yeah.
3-2. Line base hit center field. Boy, Nice had 3 good swings of that turn at bat, and he gets the reward with the Mets' 4th hit of the night.
He knows what he's doing up there. Nice short swing. Fastball from Carson's right down the middle and back where it came from. Boy, you can really help yourself in the National League. You're a pitcher and you get the bunt down, hit a little bit, keeps you in the game for an extra inning sometimes.
Of course, I shouldn't laugh about pitchers hitting home runs in batting practice. Remember Frank Castillo, the pitcher for the Cubs?
Yeah.
Brian McRae bet him, said if you ever hit a home run in a game or in batting practice, I'm going to buy you a Mercedes. Because Castillo was he was inept as a hitter, and it took a couple of years, but Castillo finally hit one in batting practice, and Brian McRae, to his everlasting credit, paid up.
What was he thinking?
Well, his team had a Mercedes.
Should have a little kit car. That's what he should have bought him.
Oh, a real one.
I know, but
Reyes had a base hit, stole a base, and scored a run his first time up. Brian McRae, by the way, one of the all-time great guys.
Absolutely.
Former Met. There's Luis Castillo on deck. Off-speed pitch from Karstens misses, and it's 2-1. He's having trouble with that changeup, missing up with it.
36 pitches already here in the second inning. Only still got to get another out.
Adam LaRoche playing behind Nice, figuring even if he can hit, he probably isn't going to run. And Reyes pops it up. Catcher trying to find it. Robinson Diaz has to get around the umpire and makes the play to end the inning. So a hit and 1 left. Nice goes back to the mound for the third, still with a 2-0 lead. AT&T switched to the nation's fastest 3G network. Your world delivered. Karstens and Neese right about in the same low 90s range. Now the Pirates come up in the third, trailing 2-0, and trailing is something the Pirates have done a lot of over the last decade and a half. 16 consecutive losing seasons. The Philadelphia Phillies, 1933 to 1948, after Connie Mack broke up the team. Well, actually, that was the A's. But anyway, they had a lot of losing teams in Philadelphia. They had 16 straight losing seasons, and there's every reason to think the Pirates are going to break the record and have their 17th straight losing season. And the general manager, Neil Huntington, who came from a small market team in Cleveland, working for Mark Shapiro, trying to apply some of those lessons to try and win in a small market in Pittsburgh, but it's easier said than done. Yeah, and I think that, one of the hard things to do, I think, for a small market team is that you have to be the best at everything. Reyes able to knock down but not make a play on Brian Bixler's hard grounder. Bixler with outstanding speed, so that's an infield hit for Bixler. This ball got on Jose in a hurry. Again, like David Wright, hit him in the heel of the glove, almost knocked his glove off his hand, and not able to make the play. I was saying that you have to be the best at everything. You have to be the best at evaluating. You have to spend your money judiciously. You have to pick up the right kind of free agents. Guys that are maybe 50 cents on a dollar at some point. Well, and the problem you run into sometimes is that you get the second tier guys, but you get them a year too late. For instance, the Pirates have had a lot of different general managers over the last 16 years, and at one point they signed Derek Bell to a long-term contract, and he was finished. Karstens gets the bunt down, and Neese makes the play. Low throw, but Castillo able to reach for it as Neese kind of goosed that. 1-4 on the sacrifice, moving Bixler along. They had Pat Mears here, and he had a good half a season, and they gave Mears a 4-year deal, and he got hurt. And if you're a big market team and you make that kind of mistake, you can usually use money to overcome the mistake. But when you make those mistakes as a small market team, it's a lot harder. Or for a big market team, you can just eat the contract, but a small market team can't do that. People always talk about how great Tampa Bay is and how they, have really nurtured that organization. But don't forget that organization in the middle decided to hire some free agents or sign some free agents like Canseco and other free agents like that really set that franchise back because they weren't able to nurture and develop those young players in the big leagues like they're doing now. Morgan fouls it away. Well, clearly if you're a small market team, you've got to work through your own farm system to develop the core of your team, as the Minnesota Twins have done year after year after year. But you wonder what's that special ingredient that allows you to do that Minnesota has mastered. Oakland's done it a little differently, trying to find value from players outside their organization to stay competitive. The key is you have to keep the eye on the prize, because I think what happens sometimes is that your fan base is going to, after some time now, 16 losing seasons, are going to get a little restless and want you to sign some players that'll get more immediate results. But sometimes, can't take care of the short run. You got to keep your eye on the prize for the long run. 2-1 curveball is in for a strike. Good pitch by Neese. Well, look at Milwaukee. Milwaukee has pretty much built their team through their system. They've got that core of players now with the Fielders and the Weekses and the Halls and Hardy and Hart and all those guys. And that's great. But then they went out and made the big deal last summer to pick up Sabathia at the cost of some prospects. They gave up Matt Laporta in that deal, who could be a very good big league player, to get 2 months of CC Sabathia, a guy they had a pretty good idea they weren't going to be able to sign. And I think one of the reasons they did it because the year before they were so close and they wanted to take a shot. And they did take a shot and didn't get past the Phillies. But they got to the postseason. They did. And for a small market team, sometimes that's all you can hope for, because once you get to October, it's kind of a crapshoot anyway. That can be the defibrillator, really, for an organization, right? Pump some life back into it. Ticket sales will go up. Look, Milwaukee had not been to the postseason in 26 years before last season. Morgan has been a specialist at fouling balls off through his first 2 at-bats. Well, the other thing is, if you're going to be a small market team, sometimes you have to think outside the box. And the Pirates have begun to do that.
Well, they have. They've set up places in Dominican Republic and Venezuela. I mean, remember, the tradition and history of this is that the Pirates were one of the best of all time in the 50s and 60s, recruiting Latin talent, signing Latin talent. But also they've signed even some really juicy stories, guys from India, North Pole.
They signed a pitcher from the North Pole. How about that? I mean, he may never make it, but at least, you're looking everywhere. Low and away, and Morgan working a quality at bat here, full count.
They only use him in April and October. It's really good.
Because the days are short.
The days are short, and the weather's
Nobody can see the ball. This will be the 10th pitch of the at bat from Nice to Morgan, and the former hockey player slaps one into center field. It's booted out there by Beltran. In to score comes Bixler, and it cuts the Met lead to 2-1. So Niger Morgan with a great at bat there, and on the 10th pitch drives in his 13th run of the year.
Well, we've seen two impressive at bats here by Morgan. Nice job, that short stroke, driving that ball the other way. And really, Beltran was not going to have a play on Bixler at all. On this inning, we've seen just missing with that pitch differential. Wanted it outside. It was more middle by Nice.
So Morgan at first, still only one out. Morgan was caught stealing in the first. He had the base stolen, but overslid and was tagged out.
Nice is going to have to make sure he steps a little better to first base. Umpires love ringing up a rookie with a balk.
We've seen a couple of those calls around the majors this year. Step balks by lefties. Sanchez takes low 1-0. Sanchez fly to right his first time up. Well, the one thing the Pirates have got going for them at the major league level right now, they've got some good young starting pitching, and it's got to be the basis for building any program.
Well, that, and also I think that they've got a really good pitching coach, Joe Kerrigan, who has a history of dealing with fine young pitchers. He worked with Pedro Martinez in Montreal early in his career, followed him to Boston.
It's hard to believe it's been 5 years since Joe was a pitching coach at the major league level. There's Joe. Up and away, 2-0.
When Joe came over and he was hired, he took a look at all his young pitchers and he said, boy, we've got some talented pitchers here, but a few things he had to change. They didn't pitch inside. He knew he had to change that. He had to make sure that they threw strikes and got ahead of the hitters. They weren't doing that. And that they were able to manage the game within innings, make adjustments.
Hit slowly, too slow to turn two. And Reyes gets the out at first as Morgan moves up 2 away.
You know what they did this spring training too, that the Mets used to do when I was there? They used to have like dummies in the batter's box that they would throw to teach the players how to pitch inside, because you don't want any of your live players in there in case someone gets hit.
Well, I remember Joe did that with Pedro Martinez in Montreal, because remember early in Pedro's career he developed a reputation of being a headhunter, and so Joe got the idea there of using the dummy to teach him how to pitch inside without hitting people.
Without hurting anyone.
Here's Nate McLouth, who takes the curveball outside for ball 1. McLeod single to left his first time up. Tying run at second now with 2 out. With great speed at second with Morgan. There is a lot of speed on this Pittsburgh team with Morgan and McLeod and Bixler. What they're missing, though, is that big pop, especially with Ryan Domit out of the lineup. And again, that's the difference with a small market team. Domit, who's is a nice player, but he represents a big chunk of the power in the middle of their lineup.
Again, you have to be lucky again to make sure those guys can play 100, 155 games.
Now Nice behind 2-0 and makes the reverse spin.
John Russell, though, is a good baseball man, a former catcher, started out with Philadelphia Phillies, caught one of Nolan Ryan's no-hitters, and to his right, our left, is Gary Varsho, the bench coach for the Phillies for a few seasons.
You must have faced John Russell when he was with the Phillies.
Yeah, I remember his first at bat. It was a home run off me in 1984.
Is that right?
His first home run was off me in 1984.
But he remembers that.
Yeah.
So you are number one on somebody's list.
No, I'm just happy I'm not on that Barry Bonds list.
It's a strike 3 and 1. Well, you're number 2 on that list.
I'm number 2, but I do not want to be number 1. All you're going to do is see Craig McMurtry saw a lot of himself those 2 weeks leading up to Bonds' historic home run.
Adam LaRoche on deck. 2-1 New York, third inning. He's trying to negotiate a tough hitter here with the tying run at second. 3-1 to McLouth, and he popped it up foul. That'll come back out of play. Santos had no idea where it was. Fortunately for him, it wasn't in play. It's 3-2. He's struck out 1. He's walked none. Allowed a run on 4 hits. And the curveball fouled off. Nice ball strike ratio so far for Nice. Although more pitches than he'd like here in the third inning. Again, the 3-2 and a high fly ball hit to right center. Beltran and Church both calling, and who's going to catch it? The answer is nobody, and the tying run scores McLouth into second. Beltran was calling all the way, even though Church was closest to the ball, and they both let it drop.
Well, it shouldn't happen to the home team, but we saw the Philadelphia Phillies, Victorino and Worth, lose the ball in the lights. Well, I'll tell you one thing. One thing they weren't doing is they weren't either of them calling the ball. So obviously they both might have lost in the lights. You see Church here trying to talk to Beltran right now. Make sure we talk. You got to yell. Let me know if you can't see it.
Yes, because Beltran was waving for the ball all the way over. Church saw it, but clearly Beltran lost it at some point. You see Beltran calling there.
Well, once he put out that glove, I think what Church thought is that sometimes Beltran will put that glove out means he's got the ball.
Right.
But when he put it out there, it was because he couldn't see the ball. Church has said, now, hey, let me know. I saw it all the way.
So tie game. It's a double for McLouth. Castillo backing off to play that hop and throws out Adam LaRoche to end the inning. But 3 hits, 2 runs, a ball lost by Beltran, and Church falls for a double to tie the game. Outfielders just not seeing the ball, and Razor Shines, who is in charge of the outfielders, debriefing Church and Beltran.
And what he's going to do, he's going to hear both their stories, and Carlos is going to say that he didn't see it, and Church said he saw it. He needs help, though, from Beltran to communicate with him.
You know, when they first opened Turner Field, I remember that outfielders had similar problems at this time of the evening, and they eventually adjusted the lights there a little bit, and it hasn't been a problem since. I don't know whether it's a lighting thing or it's just the sky conditions that have caused outfielders to have problems at this time of the evening.
Well, you still have to configure the lights sometimes, because what will happen, you'll have some dark spots on the field. That seems to invariably happen sometimes.
Castillo chops one over Karstens. It comes Bixler, and he has no play. Well, Castillo hasn't hit a ball 90 feet yet, but he's 2 for 2. Just tall enough to get over Karstens.
Just that chop swing by Castillo. Once Karstens couldn't make that play, that was prudent by Bixler to hold on to that ball. No play at first base.
First time up, Castillo hit a slow grounder down to first. Adam LaRoche might have had a play, but tried to make a glove flip, and it arrived errantly. So here's Beltran, who popped up to second base. So the Mets have the tie-breaking run aboard. Castillo stole a base in the first inning. Not going here, and the changeup taken high. Remember earlier, Jerry Lane got hit by a foul ball, and he's getting some more attention.
Yeah, some of the doctors over there, and Ray Ramirez, the Mets trainer, talking to Jerry. They gave him some smelling salts to make sure he's all right.
Jerry Lane hanging in there. So he's got a little headache going. Fastball taken low, and it's 2-0 to Beltran. Mets got 2 in the first on Delgado's 2-run single after the Mets stole a couple of bases. And now after the Pirates tie it up, Mets trying to come right back.
I guess you go with more orange in the shoe if you got the black top on.
Is that how that works?
I don't know.
Hit hard, caught, double play. What a grab by Adam LaRoche. Now that's some hard luck for Carlos Beltran, a scorcher.
Can't hit this ball any harder. And you know what's interesting about that? Most first basemen will get off 4 or 5 steps. LaRoche really just got off 1.5 steps, which allowed him to catch that ball.
The ball carried him right to the bag for the unassisted double play. Look how hard he hit this.
That's the one thing that TV does not do. It doesn't justify how fast that ball moves around in the infield.
So, it's baseball, isn't it? Castillo hits a little bouncer for a hit. Beltran hits it as hard as he can hit it, and it's 2 outs. Delgado takes a strike. Delgado hit one through the right side to drive in 2 runs in the first. Now has 20 runs batted in for the year, matching Beltran for the club lead. He reaches for the changeup, and it's 0-2. Each team with 2 runs and 5 hits, and see how they shift against Delgado.
Yeah, they don't have that shortstop over here at second base with 3 guys on that right side. They keep 2 guys to the left.
Keeping Sanchez back in the outfield, but he wasn't deep enough to grab Delgado's shot the last time. 1-2 now to Carlos. David right on deck. Get hit by 20 pitches this year, isn't he?
He really is. I mean, the only way to get him out is to throw him in, and he's such a power hitter that everyone's afraid of missing back over the plate, so they make sure they get it in.
2-2. Curveball got him. Karstens using the whole repertoire there. His second strikeout as he gets Delgado to end the inning. Took that one out of Jonathan Neese's book. We head for the 4th. Mets and Pirates tied at 2. Schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. Day games tomorrow and Sunday. John Maine against Paul Maholm tomorrow. And then the Braves come in for 3 before the Mets go to the West Coast. What did that say on the bottom?
Half hour or something. Coverage begins. I don't know.
Half hour before each game?
Oh, there we go. That's right. That's right.
Andy LaRoche lines one. David Wright snags it. 1 away. Oh, and by the way, if you're in the car, be sure to listen to every Met game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN.
When I'm not doing the games and I'm driving up to go see my mom and dad in Massachusetts, I always listen to the radio broadcast, and it reaches all the way to my parents' house.
Sure.
Which is 3.5 hours away.
With good sky conditions, you can hear WFAN in Florida.
Wow.
Here's Brandon Moss, who fouls 1 away. You know, it's changed so much because now you have satellite radio. There's Howie, who, by the way, was wondering why we put him on camera last night. I think he was a little paranoid. He was saying something bad. Let's see, we got him yawning.
Well, he's going to be real happy about that picture then.
Could have been worse.
Yeah.
1-2 to Moss. But, you know, I remember when I was living in Virginia in the mid-'80s, when you guys were in your heyday, and I couldn't get the Met games on the radio.
Really?
Because they weren't on 66, they were on 1050 at that time.
Oh, okay.
And the signal didn't travel as far. So I remember for a key Mets-Cardinals series in '86, I had to go outside, sit in my car, and fiddle with the dial to try and come up with KMOX from St. Louis to listen to Jack Buck.
There you go, because the KMOX always had far-reaching for that radio station.
1120, and you know, that's the way it used to be. Even as a kid, you know, I'd sit and pick up the Phillies broadcast or the Orioles broadcast or the Red Sox from Queens. Swing and a miss, and Neese gets Brandon Moss for his second strikeout of the night.
Well, that's that signature curveball from Jonathan Neese. Very difficult on the left-handed hitter to stay back and put that ball in play.
So 2 out and nobody on. Here's Robbins and Diaz. Diaz grounded out to third his first time up. He was called up when Ryan Domit got hurt. Domit fracturing his wrist and is out till July. The other Pirate catcher is Jason Jaramillo, who actually caught Jeff Karsten's first 4 starts this year. So Diaz in there for the first time with Karsten's. There's the Pirate bullpen. You got 3 lefties and 4 righties out there. Curveball fouled off, and it's 0-2.
And unlike most bullpens, pretty young bullpen out there. Most of the time you get veterans out there, 29, 30 years old, but you have 3 or 4 kids out there, 24 or less, 25 or less.
And they've got a good young closer in Matt Capps, but he probably is not available tonight. He's had some elbow problem. Hit to short, sharply grabbed by Reyes. And he throws out Diaz to end the inning. So it's a 1-2-3, top of the 4th for Jonathan Neese. David Wright will come up to lead off for the Mets as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Wright has been hot and looking to break a 2-2 tie. Unit at 1:10 p.m. Great place, great seats, and a great time. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your print-at-home tickets now. David Wright leads off the home fourth against Jeff Karstens. David struck out on 3 pitches his first time up, after going 3 for 3 with a home run last night. Really concentrating on using the middle of the field.
Well, that's where his strength lies. You know, sometimes he gets a little pull happy, like all hitters will at times. But, you know, he has such great strength to center field and to right center field. And maybe some of them won't be home runs here in this ballpark, but it'll definitely be extra base hits.
He'll settle for doubles and triples.
Yeah.
Karstens had a rocky first inning, the result of the Mets stealing a couple of bases, but he's been okay since. And that curveball in for a call, strike 3. Well, he unleashed that curve to get Delgado to end the third, and now he strikes out David Wright with it to start the fourth.
Well, this is a great 12-6 curveball. Nice catch by Diaz.
It's like what we were talking about earlier with these. Sometimes it's nice to keep a pitch in your back pocket for that second time around the batting order.
Yeah, like you're a good poker player, you know. You don't have to throw it all out there in the first inning.
I wouldn't know about that. I'm a terrible poker player.
No, you're not. I saw you poker playing this spring. No, in spring training we're not all gambling at casinos. My parents were in town and they like to play a nice friendly game of poker.
And by the way, your mom is a great poker player.
She's a shark.
Here's the 1-1 low and inside. It may be nickels and dimes, but she's really good. Here's Omir Santos on deck. Murphy hitting to a fielder's choice his first time up. And Daniel hits one to center field. Plenty of room out there for McClough. And there are 2 away. McClough, one of those guys who likes to play rather shallow in center field.
You know what I'm starting to realize here is that, you said it earlier in the broadcast, but the pitchers are starting to pitch a little differently here. We're seeing a lot more strikes, a lot more aggressive pitching, because they just know they'll see a long drive to center field and it's not even close to the warning track.
And you know, someone was asking me today whether the Met hitters are getting frustrated because of the dimensions here, and I don't think we've heard any of that. I think that they are trying to figure out the best way to attack this ballpark. But the fact of the matter is that from a baseball aesthetic standpoint, what you just said, the fact that pitchers are more willing to attack the strike zone, I think it makes for a better game.
It really does.
Nobody likes to come to the ballpark to see walks.
Or just, you know, 44 pitch first innings. We've seen that this year.
I mean, we saw a game in Philadelphia on Saturday that featured 18 walks.
Yes, that's just
because guys are sometimes a little scared to throw strikes there. Here's the 0-2, and Santos rips one to left field. Cutting over is Morgan, and he makes the running catch. Quick and he fly. He outran that baseball that appeared headed toward the gap. Nyjer Morgan closing ground. Second time Santos is lined out to left. Good play by Morgan to end the inning. suspension does Manny Ramirez get your vote for the Hall of Fame? A, always had my vote. B, not anymore. Or C, never had my vote. Those are interesting categories. Text 57508 or SNY.TV. Well, you know, it's interesting. You read a lot of different opinions in the aftermath of something like what happened yesterday. And a lot of people, a lot of columnists have brought up the fact that, you know, Manny's case is a little different because of the ill will that he sowed last year by basically quitting on the Red Sox. Brian Bixler takes a curveball for a strike. And I hadn't really thought about it in those terms, but, you know, much like Barry Bonds already had a certain amount of ill will toward him because of his demeanor, you know, there are people who would be more down on Manny now because of things that had come before.
Yeah, well, he sure didn't quit on him in 2004 and 2007.
That's
so
true.
When they won their 2 world championships, as Carson's on deck.
The other thing that I saw a lot of today in perusing some of the columns is this notion that in the wake of the Mitchell report and some of the other stuff that's happened, A-Rod recently, that, you know, there's been a lot of steroid connection with the Yankees and none at all with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Now, I hadn't perceived it that way because, you know, sitting here, you don't look at it necessarily in those terms, but apparently that had struck a lot of people and that this was the first, you know,
Red Sox connection.
Exactly, Red Sox connection to somebody who had been tabbed as a cheater.
That's pretty interesting.
And so apparently there were, you know, a hassle of writers who flooded the Red Sox clubhouse yesterday to you know, ask the question: do you think he was using while he was there? Bixler had an infield hit and scored his first time up, and he takes that pitch that just missed, and it's 3-2.
Asking, like, is their World Championships diminished now
Tainted
because
some
of
fashion,
okay? Yeah. It's a legit question. Absolutely.
Everything's tainted. Let's face it.
Exactly.
3-2. Struck him out. East with the fastball gets Bixler. Third strikeout for Jonathan East. 1 out in the 5th.
He has showed a good fastball. He's done a nice job of pitching inside. Jerry Manuel said when the catcher sits inside, will he hit the target? When he sits outside, will he hit the target? Much better command than he had last season.
Now Karstens, who sacrificed his first time up.
I recommend a different wing, Gary. We're going to need a different wing for all these guys if they decide that some of these guys with some of the greatest accomplishments in the game are either going to be left out, or we can see just by how the Hall of Fame has reacted to Mark McGwire. He is really the litmus test.
Well, McGwire has not gotten any support at all. I mean, I think the first time he was up, he got, what, about 20% of the vote? He needs 75% to get in. So if that's any measure. 1-2 now to Karstens.
I think what it's going to do, though, we just saw recently Jim Rice get in the Hall of Fame. I think it's going to make the Hall of Fame members look back on guys like Andre Dawson, people who don't have 550 home runs, and really reevaluate their career.
Curveball hit to short and right off the glove of Reyes, who approached that ball rather tentatively, and the pitcher Karstens is aboard. That, I would think, would be an error.
Well, I think what happened with Jose, he just got where he had the in-between hop. And really, when you get that in-between hop, you lay that glove down just hoping that you pick the right angle and the right height for that ball to go in it. And Jose wasn't able to.
And it is an error charge to Reyes, and that's his 4th of the year. He was charged with one he didn't deserve last night because of the phantom obstruction call. Shane Victorino throwing the forearm shiver. Nigel Morgan fouls it off. Well, Morgan has certainly had a lot of time in the batter's box tonight. He had a 9-pitch at bat in the first inning that resulted in an infield hit, a smash off right, and then a 10-pitch at bat in the third that resulted in an RBI single. So Morgan and his stirrups have gotten their money's worth. Quicker at bat here. Castillo quickly to the bag. Can he turn it? No, not against Morgan's speed. Karstens erased for the second out. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. So now 2 out, the tie-breaking run at first, and Freddie Sanchez the batter. Sanchez is flied out, grounded out 0 for 2, and Nice will spend a lot of attention on Morgan, who's already attempted a steal tonight.
Well, watching Jonathan so far, looks like a lot of work can be done on his move to first base. He looks a little tentative going over there.
Ricky Henderson always said lefties are either the easiest to run on or the hardest to run on.
Yeah,
there's no middle ground.
No gray area, right? Well, it depends on how much you work at it. He's lucky that his pitching coach is Dan Worthen. Dan will be able to give him some of the finer points on how to improve his move.
Having been a left-hand pitcher.
That's right.
It's a whole different deal, isn't it?
Well,
holding runners as a lefty versus a righty.
No one would steal if I was left-handed. I'll tell you that.
No one did anyway.
Well, it's such an advantage. It really is. To vary your move. You can also have, I think you're allowed a little more leeway as a left-hander as far as stepping over. I think that snap throw where you step off is a nice move also.
Who's the best lefty you ever saw at holding runners?
Well, I think Andy Pettit's right up there. I'll tell you that. He just he has that where he looks at the runner, he starts to go at the plate, looks at the plate, but at the same time goes back to the runner. It's just it's impossible to read.
There goes Morgan. He's picked off, but it's thrown away. Morgan will hold at second. I don't think he realized just how far into no man's land that ball had gone. It's a stolen base for Morgan. I don't know if that fault lies with Nice or with Delgado for coming in too fast.
I think it's Nice. That one's way over his head. Delgado trying to close the distance there. It'd be interesting to see if we have a shot of Morgan going to second base. Did Jose Reyes a little deke to keep him at second base? That's the good motion here. But like I said, see that throw? That's kind of a little chicken wing. It's a little tentative there to first base.
Well, when he threw the ball to first base on the sacrifice, he kind of goosed the ball there too. 0-2 to Sanchez, and the curveball fouled off.
Reyes does a nice job of deking here, saying he's going to get the throw, which gets Morgan to stop at second base. Good job by Jose.
That's big right there. Otherwise, Morgan's at third, could score on a wild pitch. 0-2 to Sanchez. Fastball got him up and out of the strike zone, and Sanchez chasing. Nice with his 4th strikeout to put down the threat. We're halfway through on a beautiful night in New York. The Mets and the Pirates tied at 2.
Struck him out. The Mets have won the World Series, and they're jamming and prodding all over Jesse Orasco. The dream has come true. The Mets have won the World Series. coming from behind to win the 7th ball game.
Well, that was an important thing that happened on October 27th, 1986, but I think Jonathan would say maybe the second most important thing.
No one in his family saw that game, I'll tell you that.
They were busy.
That's right.
Ryan Church leads off. By the way, speaking of birthdays, happy birthday wishes today to John Maine, who today is celebrating his 28th birthday and would love to celebrate tomorrow with a win as he takes the ball tomorrow afternoon inside the Church 1-1.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't send our wishes to one of our brethren.
Well, we found out yesterday that Jerry Remy, who is the incredibly popular television colorman for the Boston Red Sox, is battling lung cancer. Hit hard to the right side and off the glove of Sanchez, and Church has himself a well-needed base hit. Turns out that Jerry Remy had surgery for lung cancer last November and had not really made it public, but it's been battling some complications. Made it public yesterday, and we wish him all the best. Yes. He is special.
Great job.
Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
You know, guys, you think Jonathan Neese coming up from AAA would just come up and obviously worry about pitching, but there's actually a lot more to that. Here he's in a sacrifice situation, and he worked a lot on that yesterday, and not good result there, and it's going to fall in. Neese gets a break. But anyway, while the other guys were hitting on the field, he was back in the indoor cage with Louis Alicea, bunting 100 times, and Alicea told me he really was too firm, way too firm. It took him a while till he was, late into the 70s, 80s, till he started to get the idea and be soft. And he said it's an underrated thing. These guys need to know how to bunt, and they need to do it, especially with the adrenaline flowing, to kind of calm down when you're up there. So Neese very busy in the cage yesterday for about 45 minutes, guys.
Well, the Met pitchers have done a great job bunting this year. It's the position players who could use some more work.
Well, the position players got their work today. They were out early, all of them getting some extra bunting. Guys like Jeremy Reed, Daniel Murphy, Ryan Church.
And the pitchers are on a program, guys. They basically, the starting pitchers, 3 days out of their turn will bunt, have about 50 to 75 bunts in a session. The only days they have off are the days that they start and then the day after they start.
1-1 to Neese with Church aboard. Gives himself up. Diaz right out of the chute to get the out at second, and the relay late. It was certainly a chance for a double play, but Bixler waited a long time before making the relay, and so Neese was able to get down the line.
Well, beautiful play here by Diaz, but Bixler, what he has to do is come meet the ball, come in front of the bag, and he'd been able to throw it to first or go behind the bag. He just stood there and allowed Ryan Church to take him out. He should have came towards the catcher, just like a first baseman, and he'd been able to make that throw, but good for the Mets. See Neese not running. That's not good.
He turned it on at the end, but he should have been running right out of the box. By the way, that's the second fine play by Diaz in that sequence. Earlier in that at-bat, when Neese fouled one off, Diaz made a great effort to try and dive for the ball on foul ground. You see Bixler, I don't know what he was thinking.
He just had to come meet the ball, and he would have had a nice, easy play.
It's almost as though, Ronnie, he forgot there might be a play at first base.
But like Diaz surprised him with that throw.
Reyes is 1 for 2, singled, stole a base, scored a run in the first. So far, Neese is a better hitter than Bunting. So a few more lessons, I think, are in order.
Well, I think the one thing you don't replicate when you're getting pitchers to bunt is the approaching fielders, people moving around, the pitcher bearing down on you. All those things you can't replicate when you're doing that in the cage.
Two and one now to Reyes. Well, of late, the Mets have been winning without a whole lot of contribution from Jose Reyes. He even mentioned it in his post-game interview with Kevin last night. But over the course of his career, Reyes has been such a linchpin to success for the Mets. Three and one to Jose. And there you see what he does when the Mets win and what he does when the Mets lose, and it's stark.
Wow. You guys threw a stat out once. Was it 62 and 20 last year or something like that when he scores a run?
Well, he scored a run tonight. Scored a run last night. Sometimes he can score runs even when he's not hitting. 3-1 to Jose, and he lifts one to center field. McLeod's back, has plenty of room. And that's the second out. And he's loping back to first base. So 2 out, and now Castillo, who has hit a couple of slow ground balls that have resulted in a couple of hits tonight.
And you kind of laugh, but that's really his game. His game is to hit the ball, line drives, or the ball on the ground. Anytime he's hitting the ball in the air, that's when Louis having troubles.
And a letter high strike from Karstens. That's got both their runs off Karstens in the first inning, have not scored since. Where have you heard that refrain before? Last night the Mets scored 7 in the first 3 innings in knocking out Jamie Moyer, and then did not score again as the Phillies pushed back. In the dirt, nice stop by Diaz, 1 more.
Well, so far in this early season, the Mets are outscoring opponents by 18 runs, right? 32 to 14 in the first inning. I'm pretty impressed already with this young catcher, Diaz. He's already made a couple good stops in the dirt. You talked about that diving play, almost got the bunt from Nice. Good throw to second base. They have stolen a couple times, but
you can see he has a good arm.
He has the talent.
Curveball, and that's in for a strike, 1-2.
He also does something that I really like. He doesn't have the flaps on his shoulders. You know, like a lot of the catchers have a flap on their right shoulder to protect their throwing arm. He doesn't like that.
He's a little freer, but also a little more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Curveball slapped to short. Dixler plays the hop and gets the force to end the inning. A hit and 1 left. We've played 5 now at Citi Field, still tied at 2. Inside Mark Sanchez and Sean Green's first rookie camp. Plus, the crew discusses whether Plaxico Burress would be a good fit for the Jets. And hear the exclusive interview with offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. All on Jets Nation Saturday at 11:30, only on SNY.
Aflac.
Time for our Aflac trivia question. Who was the first player to have his name inscribed on a Louisville Slugger bat?
Who's in charge of these questions?
I think that's a Greg Schultz affair.
Yeah?
He has really stepped up his game this year.
Very nice. I think he's just sick of us answering them before we're supposed to.
He's finding ones that we can't answer.
That's right.
Part of the batting order for the Pirates. And Nate McLeod lifts the first from Neese deep to left. Murphy got spun around, but he recovers to make the grab. Daniel Murphy looking this way and that, and finds the baseball, 1 out.
You know what I liked about that? Yes, he got turned around, but there was less panic as the ball approached. Still kept his wits about him, made the nice turn, the little jump for the baseball, a nice catch by Daniel with a nice wry smile.
A little bemused expression. 1 away, and here's Adam LaRoche, who's flied out and grounded out 0 for 2. So Neese throws 1 pitch, gets 1 out. 2 pitches. This one flared into left for a base hit. So 1 out and 1 on. The go-ahead run aboard. Andy LaRoche coming up. Time to go to Jonas Schwartz in the studio for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. I guess Hamill's ankle is feeling okay. Andy LaRoche swings at the first pitch. That's 3 in a row, and he fouls it off.
Gotta love it if you're pitching. Philadelphia's got to be happy, huh? Hamill's with a little better effort.
Jason Worth homered in that game. Chris Coast homered in that game. And another bad start for JoJo Reyes. I can't imagine he's going to last much longer. Good fastball to the inside edge. 0-2 to LaRoche.
I think all you baseball fans are going to hear the name Tommy Hanson pretty soon. Young star pitcher for the Atlanta Braves down in AAA.
You saw him during spring training. He was not at his best the day he faced the Mets.
Kind of a short armor for a young pitcher.
Andy LaRoche fouls it off.
Usually when you have the young guys, they look more like Bobby Parnell, right? They got that long, lean. You see the pitch count here for Jonathan Neese, only at 84.
Look at that ball strike ratio.
Outstanding. Santana-like.
For a guy who was struggling with his command earlier in the minor league season. Strikes tonight. This one blooped, and that's going to fall for a base hit. So the LaRoches with back-to-back soft hits, and all of a sudden the Pirates have 2 men on. Sean Green, first man up in the Mets bullpen, as Neese hits a rough patch here in the 6th. And Worthen will pay a visit before he goes after Brandon Moss.
Well, we saw Freddie Sanchez end the last inning on a pitch way up in the strike zone. But see, on this pitch differential, if you're going to miss, you got to miss up, not down. If you miss down, it brings you right back in the hitting area, even though it was kind of a broken bat hit. I think that's what Dan Worthen is reminding Jonathan. Still got good stuff, kid. Those are just 2 kind of bloop hits. Let's get the ball down. Let's get ourselves a ground ball.
I like how Santos was coming up that time to give a good target. He didn't hit the target, but he was coming out of his crouch to make sure that Neese would get that ball up and out of the strike zone.
I always wanted my catcher to move late doing that because I didn't want one of the third base coaches to give a whistle to let the hitter know if the catcher's standing up, there's only 1 pitch coming. That's fastball.
There's Brandon Moss, and he takes a strike. Moss is grounded out to first and struck out, really having a rough go of it, especially with runners in scoring position. Moss is just 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position this year, and a nice stop by Santos on the short hop, 1-1.
Interesting. That's the first slider we've seen from Jonathan Neese. I wonder if Dan Worthen said that's a good pitch to try to get a ground ball with.
And on the phone, seeing whether Green is ready. To Moss.
Oh, this is a perfect pitch right on the corner. It beat Moss too. It's like the only pitch that Moss can handle right now is something middle of the plate in.
1-2. Curveball misses. 2-2. Neese has struck out 4. He has walked none. Robinson Diaz on deck. 2-2 to Moss. Fouled away. Wasted that fastball. Adam LaRoche at second, Andy LaRoche at first with one out. 2-2 game in the sixth. Three and two now to Brandon Moss.
Well, not a lot of speed on the bases. A guy that has a strikeout in this game. Can't really run the runners here.
Neese with a 3-2. Struck him out. Game with a high fastball, and he gets Brandon Moss. Strikeout number 5 for John Neese.
Well, again, we just like him going right after the hitter's 3-2, make him put it in play. And that's the pitch he wanted against Andy LaRoche, wasn't it? That pitch up in the strike zone.
So now 2 out and 2 on. And here is Robinson Diaz. Pirates over the last 10 games have averaged 3.1 runs per game, hit .211 as a team. They have struggled big time to put runs across. They've got an opportunity here against a rookie pitcher. Diaz takes ball one. You know what's going to be hard coming out of this start? For the Mets to evaluate Neese's performance against a less than stellar lineup. Taken low, and it's 2-0.
One thing I'll evaluate taking out of this start right here is that how under control he is, how he's battled his nerves. He had those in his first few starts last season, and really how he's spotting his fastball. Evaluating that, I'll say, boy, much improved from last season.
2-0, and Diaz lines one to left. Murphy moving over, and he makes the catch to end the inning. Murphy with 2 good plays in the inning, and that keeps Neese out of trouble. 2 hits and 2 left. Mets have the heart of the batting order coming up in the bottom of the 6th, trying to get a run to put Neese in front. Six solid innings in his first start of the season.
That's what I like to see right there. No walks, really aggressive. Just a fine effort from Jonathan.
Now the Mets will try and get him a lead as they bat in the bottom of the 6th. Beltran, Delgado, and Wright, 3, 4, and 5 hitters against Jeff Karstens, who has settled in nicely after the Mets got 2 in the first. They have not had a runner past first base since. Beltran ripped one into a double play his last time up. A line shot that Adam LaRoche snared before it snared him. 2-1 to Beltran.
You know, people are probably wondering, how can you have those kind of numbers in AAA and come up here and look so settled? You know, the manager, Rick Sweet, said that. I mean, Rick Sweet of Buffalo said that in his report. He said that Nice is ready to pitch in the major leagues. And you can see it was evidenced by the way he pitched tonight. How do you get those numbers? Well, you know, you open up in cold ballparks. Sean Green gets ready. I think you have some disappointment because I think he came to camp with the opportunity to win a spot, and it really was over early, wasn't it?
He never had a chance.
Yeah.
3-1 changeup from Karstens, and it gets full on Beltran. I mean, Livan Hernandez won that job from day one.
But I mean, he was behind Garcia, Hernandez, Redding.
Right.
I mean, all those pitchers in camp.
Well, his last start, he pitched very well against Louisville. His last start before coming up a week ago, and that was certainly encouraging, and he justified that encouragement tonight.
There's some disappointment that happens when you come to camp and you think you have a chance to make the team, and you get sent down, and you're like, how did that happen so quickly? I worked so hard this winter. I'm ready to go. But what you do is when you get that chance again, you make the most of your opportunity.
3-2 to Beltran. Hit hard down to first, handled by LaRoche. And so Beltran is 0 for 3, 1 down in the bottom of the 6th. So now the next question about Nice is, his next start would be Wednesday afternoon against the Braves here in the last game of the homestand. Does he get that opportunity? Does Tim Redding get that opportunity? How do you decide that? Is it based on what Redding does in his minor league rehab start? Is it more based on what Jerry Manuel and Dan Warthen saw from Nice tonight?
I think it's a combination of those things. I think, you know, you're paying Mr. Redding a good chunk of change. You don't want him to be pitching in AAA. That being said, Nice has pitched beautifully here tonight. Also, you have to evaluate the team you're pitching against. Are the Braves more vulnerable to a right-handed pitcher or a left-handed pitcher?
Nice got his only win against the Braves last year with 8 scoreless innings as Delgado shoots one past the shortstop and into left center, and Delgado has his second hit of the night. When Bixler shaded over toward the bag, he hit it back the other way.
Well, that's 2 shots from Delgado, one past Sanchez and one past Bixler. See the differential here. That ball's supposed to be down. You see Diaz with that beautiful target down, not even close.
One more piece about Nice, Redding, how that all is going to work out. Jonathan Nice is 22 years old, and everybody in the Mets organization expects him to be part of their rotation in the future. The question is, could the future be now? And if it is, could Tim Redding help you as the long man out of the bullpen?
Well, Redding has done that. Nice hasn't. So if you're going to err on deciding that, Tim Redding's one of those guys who can spot start and also pitch out of the bullpen. He's done it both in his career.
There's David Wright, who's 0 for 2, struck out twice, and he fouls it off. Well, there's no way Nice is staying here in the bullpen. If Nice is not going to be in the rotation, he's going down as Sean Burnett, the lefty, gets up in the Pirates bullpen. But it's an interesting question because even during spring training, there was talk about Redding perhaps working out of the bullpen.
If it's my call, Nice gets another shot, especially on what he did against the Braves last year.
Breaking ball strike to right, and again David's behind 0-2. He has seen 8 pitches tonight, 8 strikes. Well, one thing about Nice, if he wins tonight or even gets a no decision tonight, goes out and pitches well again on Wednesday, who knows?
Yep.
He might never leave. 0-2 to David. And there he finally sees ball 1.
You know, I really had an advantage when I came up in '83. I knew I was going to get 5 starts. The manager, Frank Howard, told me that. So I had those 5 starts to deal with. I didn't win until my 5th start, complete game on the last game day of the season. But just getting that audition really helped. They got a body of work to look at to see if I was ready for the next year.
When he told you were getting 5 starts, did you believe that?
Nope.
Good. Because those things can change in a heartbeat.
Exactly. I did not believe him at all.
Karstens with a 1-2. Curveball fouled off.
David just missed that curveball. Hanging in the center of the plate.
Daniel Murphy on deck. Murphy got a nice greeting in the dugout after his plays in the last inning.
Well, you know, his teammates are sympathetic. They've known what he's gone through. They also know how much hard work he's put into it.
Every single day. David pops one up. And LaRoche puts it away for the second out. So after a big night at the plate last night, a very rough night at the plate tonight for David Wright.
It just doesn't seem like he's seeing the ball from Carson tonight. Some pitchers are harder to pick up than others.
So now Murphy, who's 0 for 2, hit into a fielder's choice, flied out. Each team with 2 runs and 7 hits. Mets got their 2 in the first. The Pirates got their 2 in the third, and that's been it. Parsons has gone all the way. The Mets apparently are going to their bullpen for the 7th, so the only chance for Nice to get a win is for the Mets to score right now.
Well, maybe if you think of David Wright, you can think back that he got his hits off Moyer and Happ. So maybe he's seeing the ball from the left-handers right now very well, but maybe not so much from the right-handers.
Well, he's always been a great hitter against lefties. But even the few days before that,
yeah,
in Atlanta,
Vasquez, the 2-run home run off Javier Vasquez,
and the double against Kawakami.
Yeah. Well, we've been heaping praise on Nice and have not really talked about Carson. He's done a nice job.
Murphy gets under one to right field. Plenty of room there for Brandon Moss. And so Karstens with 6 innings under his belt. We head for the 7th. Mets heading for the bullpen with the game tied at 2.
You know,
it's very pretty with all those beams.
You know, it's unbelievable. I haven't been in the Rotunda.
We'll have to bring it there tomorrow. Single game tickets for the Mets inaugural season at Citi Field are on sale now. Great place, great seats, a beautiful rotunda, and a great time. Visit Mets.com or get to the phone at 718-507-TIXX.
Don't make fun now. There's certain times I can't go to the rotunda. You know that.
We just bring it there early.
Okay, good.
Before all your fans arrive.
Well, see the good numbers here. Strikeouts in the 12 and the third innings. But the problem has been the walks. His last outing, of course, was on that fateful Saturday when he walked home the winning run, Victorino.
So first outing in 6 days for Sean Green. Brian Bixler leads off, and he takes ball 1. And it's been a very rough stretch for Sean Green, who could really use a positive outing.
He's been working behind in the count, and he is the kind of pitcher that 1, 2, 3 pitches, he wants to get out of there with a ground ball.
Bixler hits one to center field over the head of Beltran and off the base of the fence. Bixler can fly. He pulls into second with a leadoff double. Brian Bixler, not noted for his power, hit the ball 408 feet.
Well, this ball middle of the plate. Bixler got all of that. Beltran, of course, knowing that Bixler usually doesn't have a lot of power, playing a little shallower. Bixler able to get that ball over the head of Beltran.
Now, Jeff Karstens had been out on deck to bat for himself, and I thought maybe they'd leave him into bunt in this spot, but they're going to bring up Delwyn Young instead. The switch hitter will bat left-handed against Green.
I think they've had such a hard time scoring. They're going to take 3 shots at it. I mean, Young could bunt too. He's a good bunter.
If you're going to bunt, though, wouldn't you leave Karstens in?
I would.
He's already gotten a bunt down tonight.
Especially the way he's pitching.
He's only thrown 86 pitches, so he certainly could continue on. But the Pirates will try and get the lead here and then entrust it to their bullpen. So Delwyn Young, who started the game at second base yesterday, the former Dodger. In fact, the Pirates picked him up just a few weeks ago from L.A. And Young bounces one foul, so not bunting. Ken Takahashi is up with the left-hand batter Nyjer Morgan on deck. So it looks as though Jerry may play mix and match here. Now keep in mind that Jerry is committed to giving Francisco Rodriguez the day off today, which changes everybody's role in that bullpen.
Everyone moves 1 space north.
Tyler Yates, the former Met, up in the Pirate bullpen. And the Pirates have the same circumstance. Matt Capps, their closer, not available because he's had some elbow problems. Maybe tomorrow, so John Russell's got to change the way he uses his bullpen.
You see the defense pretty straight up. Second baseman deep against Young. Castillo.
1-1 to Young. Swing and a miss. Good sinker by Green. 1-2.
That's a great sinker, and they will swing at that if he's ahead in the count. When he's behind, they usually take that for a ball. Bottom drops out of that.
So now it's 1-2 to the pinch hitter Delwyn Young, who asked for time. Green thought that came very late, and he released the pitch, but it did not count.
Well, the thing that happens when you're pitching and you have a man on second, you've got to watch the runner at second. Bixler's got some good speed, so you take your eye off the mitt, take the eye off the hitter.
And the umpire. I don't think anybody's going to give Jerry Lane any grief tonight. He's already taken a shot. 1-2, and that sinker's taken low, and it's 2-2.
I always tell you when you're holding the bat to not squeeze it too hard. Hold it nice and loose, and you can see the soft hands by Young.
In there for a call, strike 3. Young down looking at the breaking ball. There's a big out, pinning the runner to second base.
Well, if you haven't seen this backdoor slider from Green, it will surprise you. Starts off the plate away and bends right over that outside corner.
So there's a big strikeout. Now Nyjer Morgan. Now Takahashi's up in the bullpen, but it looks like Green's staying in to face Morgan. Next left-hand hitter is McLouth, who's 2 batters away. Morgan's been a pest tonight. 2 for 3. He's driven in a run. He's stolen a base. He's scored a run. He's had long at bats. There, attacking the first pitch and fouling it off.
He's the Western PA version of Juan Pierre, isn't he?
Yep. He really does remind you of a young Juan Pierre, doesn't he? Pierre, by the way, now a starter again in L.A. with the Manny suspension. Inside, and he gets plunked, and Morgan goes to first base. So he's on base yet again. Now 2 aboard. And Dan Warthen is a little perturbed as he heads out toward the mound.
Well, this will be the last batter, you would think, right, for Shawn Green?
They got the 2 lefties after Sanchez. McLouth and LaRoche. We've yet to see Takahashi in a late game situation. He's pitched just the 1 time in long relief of Oliver Perez in that Saturday game in Philadelphia. Pitched very well.
He really did.
And Takahashi right now is the second lefty in that bullpen, and Pedro Feliciano's been out there every day.
Well, Jerry talked about you said, Francisco Rodriguez, he'd love to give Pedro a day too.
Might be hard to do that tonight. So now Sanchez is 0 for 3, flied out, grounded out, struck out. 2 on and 1 out, and Sanchez takes the slider for a strike. Gave up on that ball, and it found the outside corner.
That slider right at Sanchez, who lets it pass.
Like he thought it was going to be at his belt, and it wound up on the outside corner. This one poked into left. In comes Murphy, and he's there to make the grab. 2 out. So let's see if Jerry makes the move here to the left-hander, or if he leaves Green in to face the best hitter in the lineup. Nope, it's going to be the left-hander. Takahashi will come in to face Nate McLeod. So Green gave up the long leadoff double to Bixler and hit Morgan, and that's the situation that he will leave for Ken Takahashi, the 40-year-old rookie who will make just his second big league appearance and come on in a big spot. Your Lincoln Mercury called to the bullpen. Takahashi on his way in. Afternoon baseball as they try to stop the Pirates and the reliable bat of Freddie Sanchez here at Citi Field. Mets Pirates coverage begins tomorrow at 12:30 only on SNY. Sean Green faced 4 batters and leaves a 2-out 2-on situation for Ken Takahashi.
Now remember, when Oliver was sent to the bullpen, Takahashi was going to start this evening's game. Then when he was put on the DL, back into bullpen. Outstanding in his last relief effort on Saturday in Philadelphia. 2 2/3 innings, no runs.
Here's Nate McLeod, already 2 for 3 tonight. He grounds one down to Delgado. 1 pitch, and Takahashi gets the big out to end the top of the 7th inning. Nicely done. 7th inning stretch time, tied at 2. over the weekend against the Pittsburgh Pirates and throwing Jonathan Nice for the first time this year. The Mets got him a lead early with a couple of runs in the first, but a little confusion led to the Pirates tying the game. Good defense in the outfield as well. And Nice has done the rest. 6 solid innings for the rookie. And we head for the bottom of the 7th with the Mets and Pirates still tied 2-2. Let's answer our Aflac trivia question. First player to have his name inscribed on a Louisville Slugger.
Roger
Ty Cobb. Honest Wagner.
Oh, very good.
One of those guys. Hall of Famer.
Wow.
Wow, we have Honus Wagner video. Our guys in the truck, they are just outstanding.
Don't throw sidearm. Get your arm up. Let's go. That is great.
You have to listen to Ralph talk about Honus Wagner. He can move, huh?
No head first slide. This is great stuff.
Honus Wagner, who has the most valuable baseball card in history because a cigarette company printed it. He objected because he was anti-smoking, and they only made like 8 cards.
Wow.
The former Met Tyler Yates takes over in the bottom of the 7th. Omir Santos has hit the ball hard twice tonight, both times caught by Nyjer Morgan in left field. 0-1 to Santos. Jeff Karstens went 6 innings, allowed 2 runs, 7 hits. No walks, 3 strikeouts. There has not been a walk in this game. How about that? Bobby Parnell up in the Mets bullpen. Hoping the Mets can get a lead heading into the 8th. Santos takes in tight 1-1. Ryan Church on deck, and then the pitcher's spot. Jason Bay hit another 3-run homer tonight. Does he hit a 3-run homer every day?
Man.
Red Sox are up 5-3 on Tampa Bay. It seems to me as though Jason Bay, while he was a good player, was never as good a player for the Pirates as he has been for the Red Sox.
I agree, and I think part of it is that he had to be the main man in Pittsburgh, and now he's amongst giants over there in Boston.
And he's a quiet guy, and
yeah.
he probably, much like Beltran, he prefers to be that second banana. Low and away, and it's 2-2 to Santos. And, even though Big Papi's not hitting, when you're in the lineup next to Ortiz,
yeah,
you're the second banana.
You're going to get some pitches to hit.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Euclid, and you've got the MVP Pedroia, and all the rest of it. 2-2 to Santos, leading off the home 7th. Got him with a high fastball. Tyler Yates still throwing hard after all these years. 98 miles an hour. 1 out and nobody on. Ryan Church coming up. Let's check in with Kevin.
Well, guys, with Ryan Church trying to break out of a slump, the first thing he does is go back to the basics, and that's eye focus, eye training. Starts with some simple things like soft toss. Then he uses the ocular enhancer machine, which they have here at Citi Field. It's a machine that has the tennis balls with different numbers on them, and you have to read the number of the tennis ball as it's fired at you while you're in the plate. He and a bunch of other major leaguers also go to a special eye doctor that give them eye training and eye focus exercises. And I'll give you one of them. It sounds simple, but he says it really helps focus in on the baseball. If he's home watching television, he'll just look away and pick a random spot on the wall. And then as he's watching the show, have to focus back and look at that exact same spot. So just different little tricks like that. He has different index cards with little games on them. Eye training. Church going back to the basics, trying to get out of this.
Well, he had a base hit his last time up. Getting a hot shot to the right side.
And I got to tell you, if he got a base hit, it would make this sideline report look absolutely fabulous.
There you
really
go.
would.
I did that too, Kevin. My eyesight now is 2250.
Goes the other way, but Morgan right there waiting for it. The Mets have hit 2 or 3 line drives right to Mr. Morgan, who made one outstanding play back in the 4th. So 2 out and nobody on, and now Alex Cora will come up to pinch hit if he can ever get the donut off the bat.
Well, that's what happens, right? When you're struggling, there, Ryan Church right on that pitch. going the other way, which you should do when you're in a slump, and not rewarded for it.
That's a good sign, though.
Yes, it is.
It's 2 hard-hit balls in a row for Church. So now Cora to bat against Yates. Tyler Yates, if you recall as a Met fan, started 2004 in the Mets starting rotation. He made 7 starts for the Mets that year. Wasn't quite up to the task, and has found a home in the bullpen, first in Atlanta and now in his 2nd year with the Pirates.
No, he's great for a bullpen. He's a hard worker. He usually throws strikes. He's a guy that you can count on for every day. 72 games last season. Lives in Hawaii, of course, in the off season, and strengthens his arm by paddle surfing. You ever seen those guys do that? It's really hard work. I mean, they stand on the surfboards, these big, huge surfboards, and kind of roll themselves around.
Oh, really? No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
To me, the hardest part of all that, standing up on the surfboard. Have you surfed?
Yes, no, yeah, I can surf.
So you can
surf
stand
a lot.
up?
Yeah, easy.
Easy?
Yes,
it's not easy.
It's not that hard. You know what's a great time to learn, though, when you're really young, because the board is so big, you just get up so easily.
Well, you have less distance to go to get up.
That's right.
Here's the 0-2, and it's taken outside by Cora, 1-2. Now it's 2 for 6 as a pinch hitter. Not the optimum role for him, pinch hitting with 2 out and nobody on. I think you want more of a power guy up there. Jerry keeping Sheffield and Tatis, his power threats in the dugout, with a right-hander on the mound. He got 3 lefties in that Pittsburgh bullpen. Parnell gets ready for the 8th. 1-2, and Cora goes the other way toward the line, and it drops a fair ball. Morgan catches it against the sidewall and does a great job holding Cora to a single. I'm telling you what, Niger Morgan has been so impressive out there tonight. That's a terrific play.
Really was. Bounce just really took it away from the stands there. Cora was busting 2 out of the box, thinking that if any misplay, he was going to get to second base in scoring position, but couldn't.
That's a huge play in this game. Morgan ran back in the gap to take an extra base hit away from Santos. He's had a good day at the plate and on the bases, except for that overslide back in the 1st inning. So instead of Cora being in scoring position, he's at first with 2 out for Reyes. Jose is 1 for 3 tonight. Singled up the middle, stole a base, and scored a run back in the 1st inning. Ball 1 to Jose. Castillo has a couple of hits tonight, waiting on deck.
Defense very deep, no doubles.
There goes Cora. The throw by Diaz in plenty of time to get him. Did somebody miss a sign? Cora's not a base stealer, but he is tagged out to end the inning. Mets are done in the 7th as Diaz throws out Cora, still tied at 2. pretty split. Always had the vote.
Wow.
Not anymore, and never. I don't know what conclusions to draw from that. What would it have been before? Bobby Parnell pitched in the 8th inning.
Well, other than in Boston, I think he is before this has happened, of course, was a well-liked player. Isn't he around baseball circles?
Adam LaRoche pops it up in foul ground. Right hoping and has room to make the play. He's playing off the line against the left-hand hitter. Had to come a long way to get that ball. 1 out. Well, I think that, Manny is seen as a great player and a bit of a buffoon.
Yeah.
The whole Manny being Manny thing. Whereas in Boston, he was once beloved and now not.
Yeah, there's a certain part of that population that's very happy that this has happened to Manny.
Well, I mean, people there feel as though he quit on them last year. Here's Andy LaRoche, and he takes a strike. Again, no Francisco Rodriguez tonight, as Jerry is committed to keeping him out of the action. So it's Parnell pitching the 8th. And if there's a save opportunity, or perhaps even if there isn't, JJ puts in the 9th. Parnell's had a couple of days off since he pitched in Atlanta on Tuesday night. Gave up the run-scoring double to Martin Prado in that game, but then got a big out by retiring Omar Infante. Hit slowly down toward third, a foul ball.
Well, when the Mets made those moves in the winter, beautiful, pleasant surprise in getting Puts and Rodriguez. But I think the great surprise is Bobby Parnell so far in that bullpen. And here's a guy that you knew he had a great arm. You knew that he could do the job. You just didn't know if he had the makeup for it. And he certainly does so far. Easy going, tall right-hander.
And he gets Andy LaRoche chasing for the 2nd out. So 2 out and nobody on. Time to check in with Jonas Schwartz in the studio for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, Jonas, it's 3 home runs in the last 2 days for Hanley Ramirez. Here's Brandon Moss, and he fouls one away.
Did you see that slider that he just threw to Andy LaRoche? I mean, when he starts getting that pitch in that position, the placement of that, boy, that's going to be tough to beat.
Combine that with 98 on the front end. 0-2 to Moss. Talking about the Marlins. Anibal Sanchez leaving the game with shoulder problems yesterday. All of a sudden, that great starting pitching for Florida not looking so great anymore.
Yeah, they went 18 games where they were 0-9. 18-game streak. Sanchez 10-3 in his rookie year. 3-9 since having that surgery on his shoulder.
0-2 to Moss, way outside, and hits the mechanical bull.
That's pretty funny. Santos wanted the ball up and couldn't even get any leather on that. Parnell let that go.
Marlins falling out of first place for the first time. They started out 11-1. They're now 15-14. On 1-2, again way outside. A couple missing badly for Bobby, and it's 2-2.
He's got to have a laugh because that young man, he knows, just let it go. 98 miles an hour.
Two. Does it to the other side of the plate. It's a little scarier. 3-2. So after getting ahead on Moss, now he's gone to a full count. Moss has had another rough night at the plate, going 0 for 3, hitting just 188 for the year. Choking up against the hard thrower. 3-2. Fouled it away. Brandon Moss, after last season, had knee surgery, and then this spring had a sprained thumb that kept him out of action. So he's a little bit behind. Again, the 3-2, and again he fouls it off. 2. Another foul ball.
A little better at bat here by Brandon. Funny how big league hitters, right? They see that first 95, 96 mile an hour, and the more they see it, they kind of dial it up a notch.
This will be the 10th pitch of the at bat from Parnell to Moss. Line foul. And we'll do it one more time.
Getting good calling the ball here now. Starting to get used to off the bat where it is. Know it's foul right away. I'm not there yet. I had to wait.
It's a little scary going toward the corners here where we can't see the fair ball. I figure if I can see it, it's got to be foul. Right?
Is Keith up there again?
That was quite night last night. And it's in there for a call, strike 3. Parnell picks off the inside corner to get Brandon Moss. A 1-2-3 eighth inning for Bobby Parnell. Now the Mets on the top of the batting order coming up, trying to break this tie. In the first inning, Carlos Delgado driving home Reyes and Castillo with what to date are the Mets' only 2 runs of the night. In fact, the Mets have not had a runner past first base since the first inning. They'll have the top of the batting order coming up in the bottom of the 8th in a 2-2 game with Reyes, Castillo, and Beltran to face Tyler Yates.
Reyes had some success against Tyler Yates, 4 for 7 in his career.
1 for 3 tonight. Singled, stole a base, scored a run on the first. He was at the plate when Alex Cora was thrown out trying to steal to end the 7th. As J.J. Putz gets ready to pitch the 9th. And Reyes bluffing a bunt, takes a strike. I just checked out the scoreboard. Remember when Justin Verlander's career looked like it was going downhill?
Yeah.
Complete game 2-hitter, 11 strikeouts, 1-0 win.
Throwing that fastball again. Fell in love with that slider.
Fouled away, and Yates ahead on Reyes 0-2. By the way, there are complete games still out there in the land. They're an endangered species.
Is Mr. Sabathia still in there for the Yankees?
Yes, he is in the bottom of the 9th with 2 out, working on a shutout. Sean Burnett up in the bullpen for Pittsburgh. 0-2 to Reyes. Upstairs, 1-2. Castillo and Beltran to follow against the hard-throwing Hawaiian Tyler Yates. Reyes trying to fight his way out of a slump. Homer last night, 1 for 3 tonight. Keeps the at bat alive. Just 5 hits in his last 42 at bats. The Braves have 3 home in the 9th with nobody out. And Brad Lidge has come on. Just a typical Citizens Bank Park game. That game just went final. Phillies win 10-6. One-two. Line drive, base hit for Reyes. Morgan gets over and cuts it off, and he holds Reyes to a leadoff single. There's a big hit for Jose Reyes to get the Mets started in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, a little slider. Diaz wants it down in the dirt, but it stays right in the middle of the plate. Nice short cut by Reyes. A nice play by Morgan to get over to cut it off. Jose had designs of maybe turning that into a double, but leadoff hit.
Now the question is, do you sacrifice with Castillo or let Reyes steal a base first? There's not been a stolen base against Yates this year. Reyes has one tonight back in the first inning. Here's your Home Depot doing more on defense.
Well, you see Sanchez, second baseman, is way over there because he's got to be there in case of the steal. That's a long way to go if Castillo ends up bunting.
Castillo 2 for 3 tonight, and Yates again chasing Reyes back. It's a lot to think about playing stolen base defense and bunt defense at the same time. And Castillo squaring, but lets it go by 1-0.
You can almost tell by Reyes' lead whether the Mets are bunting or not. Very short lead.
Well, Andy LaRoche is selling out at third base. He certainly believes Castillo is bunting. What about Luis, as he has such good bat control? You can play hit and run here too.
Well, you know that Yates likes to throw that fastball away, especially in a bunting situation up in the strike zone. Good pitch to try to drive that way past the drawn in LaRoche.
One 1-0 to Castillo. And he lays off, and it's 2-0. So Yates digging his hole a little deeper with Beltran waiting on deck. Castillo looking down to Razor Shines to see if the bunt is still on. Maybe you have him take a pitch here.
He's such a good bunter. I think that he might feign the bunt, put that bat over the middle of the plate, see if he can distract Yates.
And he takes ball 3. Now the distraction of Reyes at first base in this kind of a situation is so large for any pitcher. Now you got to take a pitch.
Interesting. He grabbed his wrist. That to me would signify hold, wouldn't it?
Well, there's no reason to run on 3-0. So in a spot where Castillo is trying to give up an out, Yates walks him, and the Mets have the first 2 men on in the bottom of the 8th. That is the first walk of the game on either side.
Well, you see that a lot, don't you? You see that reliever come in and pitch an inning, go and sit down, and he comes back and he just can't find the strike zone. Is Joe Kerrigan going to come out and talk to his big right-hander?
Well, no bunt upcoming here unless Beltran does it on his own. Now, there have been times we've seen Carlos do that. The way he's swinging the bat right now is the last thing in the world you'd like to see.
Razor Shines with secret info for Jose Reyes.
That's a lot of conversation.
It is.
A lot of soliloquy anyway.
Well, it's a good thing there by Joe Kerrigan, who has a laugh. Kerrigan, of course, has been in that situation as a player. Had 11 saves in Montreal in the 70s, trying to get his right-hander fixed.
So now Beltran is 0 for 3 tonight. Scorched the ball, lining into a double play in the third. See what he's done with runners in scoring position this year, hitting .389. Beltran against Yates, 2 for 7 in his career. Speed aboard with Reyes at second and Castillo at first, and nobody out. Now the third baseman, Andy LaRoche, is playing in and near the line. There is a huge hole open on the left side.
And Yates has been proven against the left-handers. He's throwing that ball away.
Wallace has been taking that ball to left field. That's 5 in a row out of the strike zone from Yates. 1-0 to Beltran. Beltran smacks one over the bag. That's a fair ball. Here comes Reyes around third. The Mets take the lead. Carlos Beltran stroking one right over the third base bags, a drive in the lead run, and it's 3-2 New York.
Well, nice hitting there by Carlos. That ball by LaRoche, who was drawn in. And Reyes had to make sure that it wasn't caught. He's going to score easy. Reyes run late, always a good thing for the Mets. Castillo was thinking about it, but again, Morgan just a nice play in left field.
That'll be all for Tyler Yates. They'll bring in the left-hander to face Carlos Delgado. Sean Burnett on. Our Lincoln Mercury call to the bullpen. 3-2 Mets. Ojeda will be along with Lincoln Mercury post-game live. We'll hear from Jonathan Neese about his first start of the year, a very successful one. Mets grabbing the lead here in the 8th inning. Jose Reyes scooting home with the go-ahead run. Jerry Manuel will have his comments as well, all coming up on Lincoln Mercury post-game live right after the ball game tonight.
Well, Sean Burnett, before he had Tommy John surgery, he was in line to be one of their young starting pitchers, but now pitches out of the bullpen. 58 games last season. There's Reyes with the Reyes run late. Castillo at second and Beltran at first.
Burnett has been extraordinary against left-hand hitters the last 2 years. They hit just 171 against him last year, and lefties are just 1 for 19 against Burnett this year.
Well, he throws really across his body, so it's almost like the ball's coming from second base.
Delgado with 2 hits tonight. He's driven in 2 runs. That slider misses away, ball one. Boy, you can see how hard he'd be to pick up for a left-hand hitter. Burnett was shoehorned into the Pirates rotation back in 2004. Made 13 starts for them before he hurt his arm and missed almost 2 years. He's been reincarnated as a lefty specialist. Wow, 1-1.
Good breaking pitch there. Had a pitch a hit though. It stayed on the inside part. But see the motion, high leg kick, and he steps almost towards first base, and then throws that ball. It'll look like it's coming from second. See it? Just difficult for the left-hander.
David Wright is on deck, so we'll see whether they match up or if they leave Burnett in to face him. That's with 3 runs and 10 hits. Still nobody out in the inning. And Burnett takes a look back at Castillo. Excellent speed out there with Castillo and Beltran aboard. Reyes led off the inning with a base hit, and then with Yates worried about the stolen base, he walked Castillo on 4 pitches, setting the stage for Beltran's go-ahead hit. On 1-1, Delgado clocks one deep center field, back to the wall, gone, home run, 3-run homer, Carlos Delgado. His 4th of the year, career home run number 473, and now the Mets have a 6-2 lead.
Boy, that's good clutch hitting from Carlos. He made this big ballpark look little with that swing.
Against a lefty who looks so tough.
Boy, that ball just hung in the middle of the plate, but that was the 4th curveball he saw. Zeroed in on it. That's just starting to get that little wheeling feeling that you like to see teams get.
Delgado hit that ball out of the ballpark in a similar spot to where Ryan Howard hit the ball last night.
Let's see what Diaz wants. He wants it down on the ground and outside, and that ball is about as middle as you can get it.
So a 4-run 8th inning for New York. Still nobody out. Wright tonight has gone 0 for 3. And now it's 2-1. Delgado with a 5 RBI night. 2 singles and a 3-run homer. Now has 23 runs batted in for the year. Good cut by Wright, 2-2. Boy, that one's worthy of notation.
It is. More importantly, the Mets scoring late. Got the Reyes run. Sometimes, you know, you're conditioned to be happy with that, but add-on runs put the game away.
3-2, and Wright lifts it to right field over toward the line, and Moss almost overran it. That's the first out. So 1 away, and now Daniel Murphy coming up. These runs belong to Bobby Parnell, who worked a 1-2-3 top of the 8th with a couple of strikeouts. And who pitches the 9th might depend on whether the Mets score some more runs. AJ Put's getting ready right now, but get a couple more runs, maybe use somebody else.
Yeah, but if it's a 4-run lead, he will be in there.
There's a strike to Murphy.
There's been an immediacy for Jerry Manuel that, you know, he would love to have those save situations for his pitcher, but, you know, today's game is the most important game.
1-1 to Murphy. Well, Delgado with a 5 RBI night. Last year he set a Mets club record with a 9 RBI game at Yankee Stadium, and that was the one that really propelled him that game in late June.
June 27th, the first game of that doubleheader with the Yankees, won at Yankee Stadium, and busted on over here.
also had a 6 RBI game last August against the Astros. He can light it up. 2-1. And Murphy swings and misses at the fastball. 2-2. Sean Burnett had been almost unhittable against left-handers, and Delgado crushed him. 3-2 now to Murphy. Fouled away. Daniel Murphy has been extraordinary this year when he gets 2 strikes on him. That's just out of this world. League average is probably, what, about 180?
Yeah, it's against the curve completely. Supposed to be the pitcher's advantage. It isn't.
3-2. And he lines one to right field. Moss moving back, and he can't get it. It's off his glove. Murphy heads for second, and he is in standing. Line drive just ate up Brandon Moss. They'll score to double for Daniel Murphy. So the 2 lefties both crushing him against Burnett.
Well, again, we saw a little late start there by Brandon Moss. He tried to make up for it with a leap.
So a 2-base hit for Murphy, his first hit of the night. Now it was a 9-game hitting streak.
Well, you see Diaz wanted that outside, drifted back over the inside part of the plate, put on a 3-2 pitch, really trying to challenge the hitter. Moss wasn't able to come up with the play.
Now Omar Santos takes low ball 1. By the way, Delgado with his 5 RBIs tonight now has 1,512 RBIs for his career. He just passed Mickey Mantle.
Wow. Seems like every week he's passing someone else.
Santos twice his line to left and struck out tonight, 0 for 3. Check swing. And he held it in time. 2-0. Santos, the 7th man to bat in the inning. There's still only 1 out. That's 4 hits and a walk in this 8th inning. Ryan Church on deck. This game was tied 2-2 as we started this bottom of the 8th. Beltran an RBI single. Delgado a 3-run homer. And Santos swings and misses 2-1.
Past Mickey Mantle RBIs, couple more home runs. He ties Willie Stargell, Pirates, and Stan Musial.
475. He's had quite an extraordinary career. All those years in Toronto, 1 year in Florida, and now 4 years in New York. Inside it goes to the backstop, and that'll move Murphy over to third. Robinson Diaz unable to secure it.
That pitch in, kind of a cutter there by Burnett.
How would you score that?
It's a wild pitch.
That's what Bill Shannon said.
Wild pitch.
And Bill knows. He wrote the book.
That's right.
Infield in, 3-1 to Santos. Line drive center field base hit. That brings home Murphy with the 5th run of the inning, and it's 7-2 New York. Omar Santos drives in his 6th run of the season. And the Mets are pouring it on against the Pirate bullpen in the 8th inning.
Well, the 3-2 changeup here by Burnett. Hangs out over the middle of the plate. Nice stroke by Santos. We've seen that little short stroke of his. Big RBI.
So the Mets have put together a 5-run 8th. And now Church, the 8th man to bat in the inning. Ryan is 1 for 3 tonight. Has hit the ball hard the last 2 times up, and he takes the fastball up and in. And the Joe Kerrigan has another visit to pay to the mound. It's been a long, difficult inning for the Pirate pitching coach to watch as Donnie Veal gets up in the Pirate bullpen. Another left-hander.
They got a beautiful job by Jeff Karstens. Went 6 strong innings. Yates had a nice 7. Kind of crumpled here in the 8th inning.
Well, the turning point at bat to me was the Castillo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, Reyes had the leadoff hit, and obviously that makes it difficult to defend because you have to worry about his speed. But Yates appeared to completely lose focus at that point. He walked Castillo on 4 pitches to set up the entire inning.
Yeah, you never want to walk someone when they're trying to give you an out.
1-0 to Church with fastball 1-1. Beltran poked one over the third base bag to drive in Reyes with the go-ahead run, and then Delgado greeted Burnett with a 3-run homer. Sheffield now out on deck to bat for Parnell. And Church rips one. Foul. Another hard hit ball by Ryan, and it just missed.
But encouraging swings. We saw that line drive hit the left field. So a good look at a Louisville slugger.
He's got his name on a Louisville slugger.
That's right.
Only 104 years after Honus Wagner. Well, the Mets have not been scoring late, but they have tonight. Grounded slowly. Sanchez fields Yates. Burnett covers, and he has to reach back to get it as Sanchez threw it behind him and put Burnett in jeopardy, but pitcher does a nice job to get that out at first.
He does. LaRoche can't get to it, so he lets Sanchez take it, but bad throw here. Nice play by Burnett. Not only to catch it, but also to keep his right foot on that base.
Very athletic play by Mr. Burnett. So now 2 out. Santos down at second, and Gary Sheffield will bat for Bobby Parnell, who stands to be the winning pitcher. And they'll probably walk Sheffield, won't they? No, they're going to pitch to him. So Sheffield bats with a runner in scoring position and 2 out. The 9th man up in the inning. And he takes the slider down for ball 1. Sheffield batting just $158. You wouldn't think that watching him hit.
Yeah, he's hit some balls hard, but this slider from Burnett plays right into his wheelhouse.
There's a fastball for a strike. Sheffield 1 for 7 as a pinch hitter. The 1 was his 500th career home run. J.J. Putz will now pitch in a decidedly non-save situation. 2-1 to Sheffield. So as it turns out, it was the perfect night for Jerry to give K-Rod the night off.
That's right.
Everything's easy when you've won 4 in a row. Good change-up by Burnett, 2-2. Yeah. I mean, what a difference a week makes.
It really does. But they've been doing it with the starting pitching. It's been giving them the one leg up, putting them in position to win the ball games. You cannot get on a roll unless you have the starting pitchers one after another.
John Maine will get the ball tomorrow. Then Levon Hernandez on Sunday. 2-2 to Sheffield, just inside 3-2. Santana's next start will be Monday night, and he'll be matched up against Derek Lowe. Fascinating in that the Mets courted Lowe, but allowed him to go to Atlanta.
And Lowe coming off a tough start, so you know he'll be on top of his game.
3-2. Sheffield off the end of the bat foul.
So are you anticipating another low run affair for Mr. Santana?
Well, it has been every start so far. 12 runs in his 6 starts the Mets have scored. Might have to settle for 1 or 2 on Monday night. Who knows? Maybe it's the night the Mets break out for it. Ball 4 gets away, and over to third goes Santos. So Sheffield is aboard. First walk given up by Burnett. And Santos moves to third on the play. So now Reyes will come up for the second time of the inning, but he'll come up against yet another Pirate pitcher. John Russell on his way to the mound. And he'll bring the left-hander Donnie Veal into the game, as Sean Burnett has seen his inning crash and burn. Mets have scored 5 in the 8th, still going when we come back.
Mayor of Sacramento or something like that in California.
I think, yeah, something like that. By the way, seeing a Pirate left-hander named Veal, and I know he spells his name differently, but it can't help but remind you of the great Bob Veal,
that's right,
who pitched for the Pirates back in the 60s. One of the more intimidating pitchers of his era. Reyes up for the second time in the inning. He singled to lead off this 8th inning and scored the go-ahead run. Now first and third and 2 out. And Reyes, who has 2 hits tonight, takes ball 1. Bob Veal won 18 games for the Pirates in 64, 17 in 65, 16 in 66, 16 in 67. He walked the ballpark and struck out the ballpark. 3 times Bob Veal led the National League in walks. The year he won 18, he walked 124 and struck out 250. Wow. That's a lot of pitches. 279 innings. It's back when men were men. Here's the 2-0, and Reyes takes a strike, 2-1. Bob Veal stood 6'6". There weren't a lot of 6'6" pitchers back in the early 60s. This Donnie Veal, not quite the same physical specimen, but he goes 6'4". Here's the 2-1 to Reyes. Lofted foul, 2-2. Tyler Yates began the inning, gave up the single to Reyes, the walk to Castillo, and the go-ahead hit to Beltran. Burnett came on, gave up Delgado's 3-run homer, a double to Murphy, a single to Santos, and a walk to Sheffield. 3 runs in the inning charged to Yates and 2 to Burnett so far. This is the 48th pitch of the inning thrown by the Pirates. And a breaking ball that just missed, 3-2. So now Sheffield will get set to run. 3-2 and 2 down. And it's ball 4, and the bases are loaded for Castillo. It's the third walk of the inning by 3 different pitchers.
Well, unless there's a pickoff, we're going to get to 50 pitches.
So now Castillo, who drew that walk earlier in the inning, he also has 2 hits tonight, 2 for 3. There have been a lot of frowns in the Pittsburgh Pirates dugout the last 17 years.
Well, I think what's so disappointing right now is that for the first time they got off to a quick start. There was some optimism there.
And they're getting good starting pitching.
Yes, they are.
But they're not scoring, and their bullpen tonight is imploding. There's a strike to Castillo. In fact, the Pirates coming into the night have the second best staff ERA in the National League. Sean Burnett got greeted rudely by Mr. Delgado. In the dirt, and Diaz had no idea where it was, but finally locates it. Already a wild pitch to pass ball in this inning.
A little change up here for Donnie Veal.
That was mystery right there. He's searching for clues. It's not back there. It's not over there. It must be near my feet. Santos is at third. Sheffield at second, and Reyes at first with 2 down. 5 runs already in here in the 8th. Castillo takes low, 2-1. Donnie Veal, a starting pitcher in the minor leagues, only his 5th big league outing. This is a new stage for him. Into right field, chasing Moss. Back, and he's there to grab it to end the inning. But the Mets put up 5 runs as 11 men came to bat in the bottom of the 8th. Carlos Beltran unties it, and Carlos Delgado puts it away. We go to the 9th, 7-2 New York. They scored 6 runs in the first inning against Florida back on the 27th of April. Tonight, 5 runs in the 8th inning to snap a 2-2 tie. Jeremy Reed will come on for defense to play left field in the 9th inning. And J.J. Putz will try and finish it off from the mound.
We'll try to clean up this 9th inning. Hasn't pitched since Tuesday in Atlanta when he pitched a perfect inning. Has not been scored on in 12 of his 15 games.
Robinson Diaz will lead off in the top of the 9th. Diaz is 0 for 3 tonight. It'll be be Diaz, then Brian Bixler, and then the pitcher spot for the Pirates in the top of the ninth. If this score holds up, this would be the first major league win for Bobby Parnell. In fact, it would be his first major league decision. Don't you think he knows it? I mean, it's a little different for relief pitchers, but
still, the first win is the first win. Something you'll always remember. You want to try to grab that game ball too.
And that Cora will get it for him.
Yes, he knows that kind of stuff.
1-2 to Diaz. Right, backing off on the hop, makes the long toss right on target. One away. So 1 out and nobody on in the top of the ninth. And now Brian Bixler, who hit one about as far as Brian Bixler is going to hit one his last time up. A leadoff double against Sean Green in the 7th inning, at the time a tie game. But Green and Ken Takahashi combined to keep the Pirates off the board in that 7th inning and keep it tied until the Mets were able to take the lead in the bottom of the 8th. Bixler is 2 for 3 tonight, also had an infield hit back in the 3rd. And Bixler takes up an in-ball 1. Eric Hinsky has come out on deck, veteran left-hand hitter, to be a pinch hitter. A home run in the World Series for Tampa Bay last year. Hinsky did. Taken high, 2-0. Pirates hope to have their regular shortstop Jack Wilson back by Tuesday, so he won't play in this series.
He was supposed to play tonight in Indianapolis in his first rehab assignment. Had hurt his finger, I believe.
Catching a ball.
Yeah.
His finger on his glove hand. There's a strike, 2-1. Jack Wilson, very important piece for these Pirates. He's a real leader on this team.
Yeah, gritty kind of player.
Mets trying to close out their 5th consecutive win. 2-2 now to Bixler. The Phillies won tonight, so the Mets with a victory would stay a half game behind Philadelphia. Just a normal Citizens Bank Park game.
16 runs.
So Florida leading at Colorado. Marlins in a virtual tie with the Mets for 2nd place coming into the night. 2-2 from Putz. Struck him out. Got him with the split. And Bixler is down 2 away.
We've seen that split from Putz. Bottom just drops out. And really, he has about as good one as I've seen in a long time.
So now Eric Hinsky, the final hope for the Pirates. Hinsky, the veteran, hitting at .229, 4 for 10 as a pinch hitter, though. And a pinch hit home run for Tampa Bay in the World Series last year.
Well, he was a big part of that team last year because remember, Carl Crawford was hurt for a large part of that season, and he played left field when Crawford was injured.
He's seen Putz before without any success. He's 0 for 6 against JJ. And now Putz behind 2-0. Jonathan Neese went the first 6 innings. Very impressive in his first start of the year. Allowed 2 runs and 7 hits. Second run shouldn't have scored. It was a ball that was lost in the lights by Beltran and Church. Fell for a double for McLeod that tied up the game in the 3rd, and that was it. So Neese has certainly earned himself, you would think, another start against the Braves next week with his performance tonight, but that remains to be seen. Jerry Manuel and Dan Warthen will figure that out because you still have Tim Redding on the horizon. Redding's made 1 rehab start at AAA. Here's a 3-0. And that's high ball 4. So a 2-out walk to Hinsky. The first walk issued by Met pitchers tonight comes with 2 out in the 9th inning. So now Nyjer Morgan will come to bat for the 5th time. Morgan's had a very impressive night. He's been on base with 2 singles and a hit by pitch. He's stolen a base. He's driven in a run. He's scored a run. He's made 2 or 3 fine plays in left field.
You got to think his upside is tremendous, right? A guy who came to baseball a little later.
He's not that young. That's the only thing. He's 28 years old, but still, he can be a pest at the top of that order. And he takes ball 1. Santos trying to get Putz to throw strikes and get this game done. A lot of the crowd is headed out. We had 38,496 tonight.
It's a nice crowd.
Yeah, just about a full house, but about half full now. Day game tomorrow, you know.
That's right. Rest up.
And again, Putz falls behind 2-0. Thought he had a strike there, but Jerry Lane said no. Jerry Manuel trying to squeeze a win without the benefit of Francisco Rodriguez, who saved 4 straight games before tonight. There's only been one other Met pitcher in history to get saves on 4 consecutive days. Braden Looper did that in his first year with the Mets in 2004.
Very interesting. You know, I know Putz is having a hard time throwing strikes, but Santos has been out. Delgado's been out. That's, to me, I find that strange for a veteran pitcher. You know, would really need a lot of encouragement at this point. Just
throw strikes.
Yeah.
You know, he's missed with 7 in a row now. He could safely throw it down the middle here. And he does. 3-1. Now the 3-1 to Morgan, and that's down the middle, 3-2. So now the Pirates are down to their final strike.
Maybe his first win.
Fouled away. We've seen this before from Morgan. Morgan had a 9-pitch at bat in the first inning and a 10-pitch at bat in the second inning. So he may not be anxious to end this quite so soon. Remind Nyjer that only in the Stanley Cup playoffs do they play all night.
That's right. Even those former hockey players are tough too.
This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat from Putz to Morgan. And he fouls it away again. Shades of Nellie Fox.
Yes.
Luke Appling.
Tony Gwynn could foul off some pitches.
Meanwhile, Hinsky getting a workout, taking off on each of these 3-2 pitches. Ball 4, and the game continues. Back-to-back 2-out walks issued by J.J. Putz. And now Freddie Sanchez will get a turn with 2 men on. And what this does more than anything else is just affects Putz's pitch count and his availability tomorrow.
22 pitches so far.
Now, he has had a couple of days off before today, but still in all, you like something a little more economical. And you certainly don't want this to become a competitive ninth inning. Sanchez is 0 for 4, 2 out and 2 on. And that one misses badly. It looked like he was just pushing that ball up to the plate.
Tried to get a little get-me-over slider there.
So it's not coming easily for Putz after retiring the first 2 in the ninth. He's become an 8th inning guy. He's having trouble finishing off the ninth, which used to be his job. And he gets even 1-1. 2 on, 2 out, top of the ninth, 7-2 New York. 2-1 now to Freddie Sanchez with Nate McLouth on deck. Now you know what the Pirates are thinking. Well, if Sanchez can get on, McLouth gets on, then all of a sudden you got the tying run at the plate. Here's the 2-1. Line drive, base hit, center field. Here comes Hinsky around third. He'll score. Morgan goes to third. Sanchez keeps it going with an RBI single, and now it's 7-3 New York. And if McLouth gets on, the Pirates can get the tying run to the plate. And now Jerry's going to be thinking, gosh, I really do want to give K-Rob the day off.
Well, good hitting by Sanchez going the other way. Batting champion in 2006.
So the Pirates not going away easily with 2 out in the ninth. Dan Worthington doing a little talking to J.J. Putz.
The ball right down the middle. Did not want to walk Sanchez. Good hitting. If the over and under was 4 visits to the mound, they just made the over.
Now Pedro Feliciano, who had been resting comfortably, is up. Perpetual Pedro could be on to face Adam LaRoche if Nate McLouth keeps it going. McLouth 2 for 4 tonight, a single and a double. First and third and 2 out, 7-3 New York. And McLouth takes a strike. McLouth hitting .429 with runners in scoring position this year. Putz trying to end the madness. Fouled away, 0-2. So again, the Pirates are down to their final strike. To Nate McLouth. Popped it up, shallow center. Beltran coming on, and the ball game is over. JJ finally puts the game to bed. Bobby Parnell has his first big league win. Carlos Delgado's 3-run homer put it away in the 8th. And the Mets, with that 5-run 8th inning, take the opener of the series from the Pirates and win their 5th in a row.
Delgado carried him on those big shoulders today with those 5 RBIs.